All right, welcome to the Mike White podcast. We're here in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. I have Justin and Jeremy Euler on the pod today. And so I stole this from their YouTube bio, but I thought it was really good. They describe themselves as people-loving engineers, realtors, and business owners. And they want to help you find your purpose. So
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having us on, Mike. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me at your place. Like, this is a great setup. Got the Twinvestors here. As you guys can tell, these guys are identical twins. And this is a upstairs room in their house. And starting out, they made us each little espresso lattes. Is that what we got?
Yeah. Got a little bit of latte action going on. Specifically, this one is a pH Delight. So it has vanilla, cinnamon, and honey. So a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're set. We're ready to go. Talk some real estate, talk some crypto, and just hear about your whole life story, all the exciting things you guys are doing.
And it's been a wild ride, that's for sure. And I'm super glad to have you here. Anybody who comes into town, we love to always make some good coffee, and that's just how you start a good conversation. So.
Yeah, coffee any time of day. It's like almost 9 o'clock at night, but
yeah,
we're good to go.
We're gonna be up until 12 in the morning, I bet.
So we'll start off with you guys' story growing up. Where'd you grow up? What kind of living was it? How was that?
Absolutely. So our parents ended up marrying really young and just kind of ended up settling down in Charleston. And when I say settle, I don't really mean settle. They ended up my dad ended up getting 3 jobs and just basically trying his best to provide for 2 kids and then eventually a 3rd kid. And they were like 19 and 20 at the time. So ended up in Charleston, South Carolina. It's where we were born.
Yeah. It went on from there. We were military brats, so our dad was in the Air Force. We moved around a lot. Automatically just went straight from Charleston outside the country, went to Turkey. Lived there for a couple of years and then moved to Georgia, the state. And then we moved to Alabama. So that's where we ended up, and we say we're from Alabama.
Because he retired, or he got out of the Air Force, and how old were you guys when he left the Air Force?
I want to say we were in college at the time. So since he was really young, he started off, a lot. But, when we were really young, he ended up getting out when we were still young as well. So probably like 24, 25. He served 24 years in the Air Force. So
wow.
Yeah.
It's a long time. You guys didn't want to follow his path, go in the military?
Oh man, we almost did. We actually both ended up doing Air Force RTC over at Auburn, and our first semester it was great, learned a lot, but ultimately it didn't work out. It worked out more for our dad.
More specifically because I know at the time Justin had a scholarship and I didn't quite make it there. He beat me to the punch, and so basically we were talking with another buddy of ours, and he said, Uncle Sam puts you where they want you, and we kind of wanted that freedom to be able to kind of choose what we wanted to do and kind of the life that we wanted to live. And I mean, I think it would have been an adventure, but ultimately just decided to step away after learning a lot. So.
And you guys both studied engineering, so Justin did electrical and Jeremy mechanical. Did you know that going into college? Is that why you chose Auburn? Because that's a really good engineering school.
Oh man, actually we both almost ended up over at in Austin, Texas, over at UT, and eventually had our heart settled over at Auburn because it was such a beautiful place. But our dad did in the Air Force. He did E&E, which is electrical and environmental, and what that really taught us growing up was, well, he was a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy, and so he was always tinkering in the garage with his car, and he had a 1977 Camaro that he loved so much. And
I know he was working on projects literally every single day. I don't remember him not working on any project, whether the plumbing went bad in the house or something like that. So yeah.
So I think we had the engineering set in us from a young age.
Yeah. And that's, again, if you go in the military, you're not really doing engineering jobs. There's maybe a few out there, but
yeah, exactly.
But not really.
And that's funny that you said that, because the friend I was talking about earlier, who was trying to figure out what he wanted to do in the Air Force, he wanted to be a civil engineer, but they ended up putting him in missilops in a bunker like in Missouri or something like that. And so I think that's what kind of stared us away. But nonetheless, I know it kind of ended up figuring out I wanted to be an engineer like junior year when I got kind of serious about it. I took the ASVAB test and did really well on the mechanical side, and it was kind of broad. I was like, hey, what the heck? Let's try it out in college and see what I can do. And I'm a competitive guy, just being a twin. So I was like, if Justin's gonna do electrical, I'm definitely gonna try to beat him in mechanical. And so that was fun.
Were you guys both good students in high school or college? Or?
We were nerds.
Justin was a nerd.
Oh, whatever, you were a nerd too.
Justin.
Okay, no, I was high key a nerd as well. I think so. Growing up, we actually played baseball, and that was a big part of who we were and what we wanted to do. And I know our freshman and sophomore year, we moved to Alabama a little bit before that, so it was kind of political. But it was really hard to make the team if you didn't know the coaches very well. I'm not bashing anybody, but it was tough, and we probably weren't that good either. But we didn't end up making the team, and so after that, of course, we were like, we need to pick something else up, and I guess school kind of stuck that way.
We turned to the books.
Oh yeah. I think every kid at one point wants to be like a professional, like superstar in some sport.
Yes.
But only a very, very few people actually get there, and it's got to end at some point.
Oh yeah, we called it quits early, and hit the books, and oh man, it was just after we figured out that we kind of wanted to do good in school that we really put our heads down and grinded for a little bit to try. And also, one big thing about our story, our testimony, is that growing up, life was kind of hard. Like, our dad was always working, like Jeremy said, multiple jobs to provide for the family, and we wanted to provide something a little bit, I want to say better, because we had a good childhood and stuff, but just we wanted to be able to take vacations and go do what we wanted to do, travel a little bit more and
have a little bit more freedom from the, at the time we didn't know it, but we wanted to even like do something different than the normal 9 to 5, because that is where, come to find out, that's where a lot of the freedom is. So kind of figuring that out and challenging ourselves was something that we were very interested in doing.
Well, that reminds me, I don't know if this was eye-opening for you guys or if you even read the book, but a lot of people's real estate journey starts with Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Kiyosaki, because that's like the whole thing about that book is, you can work 9 to 5 your whole life and you can survive, make some good money, but to make a ton of money and have freedom with your time, financial freedom, you gotta be doing getting in businesses or having assets. Have you guys ever read that book?
Mind blowing.
Game changing.
I don't remember who introduced us to that book, but probably our mentor, Papa John.
And to be honest, we found the book a little late. Is what we thought. I mean, too late isn't necessarily the way to probably say it, but
right. But we knew some of the concepts, but to really just put a name on it and call that out was super big for us, and it gave us a direction of where we wanted to go with our investing journey, and really
probably right. I'm sorry.
No, you got it, brother.
I was going to say we probably found it like right after college, which was probably the perfect time to find it, to be honest.
Yeah, and it sounds like you guys already had the idea, like you already knew that, and then when you read that, it kind of fully connects.
Right.
It's a cool feeling.
That's probably the best way to say it. Like the stars start to align a little bit, and kind of just added direction to the vector, you know what I'm saying? Made that an actual vector.
You guys really are nerds. That's that. But it's hard to take this down a path because a lot of these are happening parallel paths. So you guys are doing engineering. I met Justin. Jeremy. Justin. I met Justin in Greenville, Texas, because you were working a co-op at L3. So at that point we were probably sophomores.
Yeah. We were supposed to be roommates, but I don't really think Michael liked me that much. So, he moved out, and I moved in. I think I took his place.
Yeah, I definitely...
I think that's the way it went.
I cut my lease short. I got homesick, and because I'm from McKinney, so it was only an hour away.
Yeah.
I was like, I can live with my family. I know I'm going to the Navy. I was like, I probably won't see these guys for a while, so I'll spend a few months with them, save some money, and just do the commute. So
totally understandable. I mean, we kept in touch, so...
Yeah, but then, were you guys already thinking about like real estate at that point, or when did you start having that real estate bug in your head?
Man, this is a long story, but I can't wait to get into it because it's changed our lives. It really has.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Yeah, basically like the beginning of college, we were hungry, obviously young, trying to figure out what we wanted to do with life. And we knew, again, like Justin had mentioned earlier, we wanted to do something different than kind of what we always knew, pretty much. And we met these two people who are our best friends, Sonny and Jesse from down here. So funny enough, real estate kind of started in this area right here, which is why we're here today. But I know we started going around their house, right? Before that we met them. That was probably a good thing.
Number one.
And they invited us to their house because they were like, hey, like, you know, we really connect with you guys. You guys love the Lord. And not only that, but y'all love, it looks like you guys love the beach. Come stay with us. And we're like, sure, let's do it.
Right.
So we ended up going and staying at their house, and we started to realize that their parents, they don't have like TVs. They don't have TVs. They don't have TVs in their house. We're like, okay, that's interesting. That's different.
Who are these guys? Amish?
No,
I'm sorry, Amish people.
If you guys are watching this,
Well, I hope they're not watching this.
if Sonny and Jesse are watching this, we're not calling you Amish, but in Papa John and Miss Don. But anyway, so yeah, we went in their house, no TVs. We're like, okay, different than what we're used to. We started kind of watching the way they lived, and we're like, wow, they're
They're
you
home
can
all
tell
the
that they're home all the time, and you can tell they love the Lord because they're always talking about what the Lord is doing in their lives and that sort of thing. So we're like, that was really cool. Not sure if you wanted to pick it up from there, but
So how do you meet these guys? You just on the street, you're like, oh.
Yo, this is around the time that Instagram started becoming a thing. And, you know, all the hashtags that were going, you know, hashtag this, hashtag that. Well, apparently one of us had hashtag best in Florida because we came on a summer trip with one of our best friends, Jeremiah. And, you know, I think we had posted on Instagram that we were in Destin, and I don't know who saw whose profile first, but we ended up connecting somehow, ended up in the DMs of Sonny and Jesse, and that's kind of where we kind of met.
And they just invited you guys over, and you started a friendship. And
I mean, at the time it was like, hey, we'll see you in 6 months when we come down again, and we'll meet at the Commons or something like that. It was actually in Panama City Beach, so whatever it's called down there. And so we met him at the mall, and then that's kind of how it spurred on from
Awesome.
there.
Yeah, so you guys initially just, got along with them.
Yeah.
And there's still no real estate going on right now, so.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So,
honestly, I thought I was going to be an engineer the rest of my life.
Yeah.
yeah, because this was our coming out of our senior year of high school and moving into our freshman year of college. So we were set to go into Air Force ROTC. We were ready to, join the Air Force and, just move on from there. But this radically changed our lives after we met their parents and them. And they taught us so much, not just about life, but we started asking them kind of like, what do you guys do? Yeah, and to be home all the time, to be spending time with your family. Like, this is a foreign concept to us. So we're used to our parents being at work all day with providing for us, which is another just love right there. But, what do you guys do? And
we started slowly planting those seeds in our lives and just kind of like, hey, yeah, we do
short-term rentals.
We do vacation rentals, yeah.
And so we were like, well, how do you do that? And they said, oh, we just buy houses and we rent them out to people. Simple enough. And they said, if you guys can make it down here, we'll teach you everything you need to know. And, the rest is kind of history from there.
That's awesome. That reminds me of, I think, one of the biggest things to do just in life for a lot of reasons is just interact with people. Like, I know my dad he manages the Airbnb. Yeah. He'll invite him over because he lives right next door. He's like, feel free to come over if you want a drink or you want to hang out or any of that kind of stuff. And
that's awesome.
He just loves hearing people's stories, meeting people, and and even not just like there may be no financial or business thing from it, but it's just nice to see people living life, doing what they want to do. And I think it's awesome that that's how you guys got started.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know we found that when you ask somebody who's passionate about what they do and like why they do what they do, the purpose behind what they do, it always just lights them up. It will be the brightest thing that they've seen all year. They're so excited to talk about it, and it will rub off on you, and so that's what we found with Papa John and Miss Don, or Mama Don, Papa John and Mama Don.
He's not
that's
the
what they
he's
call
not the Papa John, is he?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's
cool.
funny.
He actually used to be called Dad Boy until he had a grandbaby, and now he's Papa John.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you guys meet out in Panama City. They're starting to tell you how they're investors. So what's the next move? You guys don't have any capital at this point, college kids, right? No real jobs.
No. As a matter of fact, they told us, hey, you guys don't even have to do college. You can quit right now, work at Chick-fil-A, get some money, move down here, and save up, and you can start your real estate journey today. And looking back at that market, that was probably a pretty good time to get in.
Yeah.
But we were still broke college students.
Well, and at the time, like looking back at it, hindsight is 2020. We're super grateful. We stuck with what we're like, calming their nerves a little bit. We're like, hey, we have a plan. Right now, college is free. Praise God. That's another really cool story. But we're just going to go ahead and get our engineering degrees and kind of have something to fall back on a little bit, but also full understanding that when we put our minds to something that we're just going to go full force in it. And so the idea was that we'd start work and hope during our internships and everything like that, just build up some money, save some money. And then right when we move to Florida, we can start looking for a house. Is kind of the idea there.
So did you guys had scholarships for Auburn?
We did, yeah. So and funny enough, Justin had multiple scholarships. I think he had like
you did too.
Well, but so he had the Air Force ROTC scholarship, #1 starting out. But there was this really cool story where a guy named Raymond and Eleanor, his wife, they were old Auburn grads, and they hit it off really good in like the oil industry.
Adhesives as well.
Adhesives and potentially oil. You know what oil looks like. You're from Texas. So anyways, they wanted to give back, and they had this huge lump sum of money that they were going to donate to Auburn. And during that time, they were going to put it into some sort of something that would accrue interest, and over time they could give that away. Excuse me. And so that's what they did. They actually chose 20 college students
per semester.
Not per semester. It was just 20 overall in one semester. I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right, for the year.
And they would pay for their entire schooling, but there were 2 caveats. The first one, you had to be an engineer. So that kind of lined up with
his
Raymond and his goal and his vision.
So like a chemical engineer, I would imagine.
I think so.
Was, yeah.
Some sort of materials / chemical engineer. And then the second one was...
Yeah, the second one was that his wife, Eleanor, was from Elmore County, Alabama. So she got to select the place, and he selected the discipline.
Which was unique because Elmore County isn't a part of Auburn University.
It's not Lee
County. Mm-hmm. And so for it to be so random that it's Elmore County engineers, we felt like it was like...
It's kind of a small county.
What are the odds that both of us would get it out of the 20 that were within that? But also, it was a cool experience. And of course, we got to meet him several times and talk about his successes. And his goal basically was... Sorry, I'm yapping, but his goal was basically to allow college students a chance to focus on school because he didn't get that. So that's kind of where that all kind of ended up coming about. That's how that came about.
No, that's a huge hurdle because it's a hard decision where nowadays, especially, colleges get more and more expensive. Is it worth it to go into debt? And I think there's certain degrees where your guys, I'm sure you would have recouped that pretty quickly, but if you go into like arts or like history, like it'd be hard to, not be in debt for years to come after college. So that's great that you guys started off started off strong.
It got us off on the best foot because, from there we were able to start saving. I mean, we were saving in college, and we were able to save coming straight out of college, and not having that looming over our head was such a blessing.
But that takes some discipline too, because when you're a college kid and start getting a job for the first time, seeing that bank account go up, and you're like, I can live in a nicer place, so I could go out some more, eat some more fast food.
And that's so funny. It's like goes back to kind of how we grew up. Like our dad, worked really hard. So when it came to preparing, or when it came to saving up money and providing for 2 twins and then a younger brother as a young guy himself. it was hard to like necessarily sometimes get pants to go to school in, or like new
Wow.
things. And so I think that really taught us the value. Like we didn't know it at the time, of course, and it was really hard at the time. But
Yeah. And I also have to hype my mom up too, because she was such an amazing stay-at-home mom. Like probably the hardest job out of all of us. And she was at all of our ball games, and just seeing the two of them work so hard to provide for our futures really motivated us to want to provide for our family's futures one day.
Yeah, and then the fact that you guys are twins, like just having one baby at a time. I mean, Justin, your new dad. Can you imagine having two?
I've already thought about it. Man, I know I have two arms, but it's hard enough with just one arm.
Yeah, and one thing I know save money that I can tell like frugal or smart or savvy is when we were at the co-op. We had really cheap rooms. Like we found someone, we were renting a room with, we had multiple roommates for like $300 a month.
Oh, Mike knows.
You can't beat that. So that's kind of like house hacking.
Yeah.
Without owning it.
Right.
Still get some of the benefits. So that's smart.
And I know the owners had several of those properties too. So that got my gears thinking toward like long-term rentals too. But yeah, you're so right.
Did you guys have a 80-20 rule, or like how'd you decide how much you wanted to save?
It's interesting, man. Like my friends will laugh at me. They say, Jeremy and Justin, they eat ramen noodles and they'll go to Taco Bell or Little Caesars. Those are like the big three things that they'll point at us and they'll be like, that's what they did.
We were penny pinchers, and when I tell you this, like, you're probably going to laugh, but I don't recommend this for everybody. Jeremy and I lived in the same room coming out of college. We lived with our buddy Jesse. He has a 2-bedroom home, and
one in which he lived in one, and then we lived in the other.
Yep. And
one bathroom?
It was one bathroom.
Ooh.
No, it was two bath. He has his own bathroom, and then we had our own bathroom. Yeah.
And, college was the first time where we had separate rooms, so it wasn't a foreign concept to us, but we were able to save a lot of money by living together, and that was just a funny time that I can look back on.
Do you think you would have saved as much if you had not known about real estate, or was that in your mind too? Of we want to get this first house?
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. We would not have saved as much probably. I mean, we always had a goal. It's very goal driven. Like, okay, we're gonna hone in on something and we're gonna do it. And so I think we were always going to kind of yearn towards something that had to do with money. I didn't know it was going to be real estate, and I didn't know that was even a method to invest in. And so it's funny that it all kind of just opened and churned up at the perfect time. And that's why we definitely say that it was the Lord that like kind of set it all up, because I couldn't have written a better story, to be honest.
Oh, come on. That's so good. And like looking back at Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like those fundamentals of owning an asset. Prior to reading that book, prior to knowing about investing in real estate, I always just thought that, you get out of college, you buy a house, you buy a car, and then
try to save as much as you can.
You save as much as you can,
and
don't go into
401k.
debt, 401k, or you retire in 35, 40 years, whatever it is these days, and that was a goal at that time, but, Jeremy's so right. I don't think we could have planned a better story. I think the Lord has just put us right where we needed to be. And
so you met the people here in the Florida Panhandle, and then what other resources did you do more research while you're at college as well as studying engineering? Did you read about investing in real estate or listen to podcasts?
Not really, for other than every single break we had a chance to come down here, spring break, fall break, Christmas break, any kind of break, 3-day weekend, we were down here and more than likely asking some questions here and there. And I remember, as a matter of fact, it ended up being one email that we sent. And of course, that's when we realized that they were passionate about this. And so, we didn't really do a ton of research other than what was kind of told. He always said, save $1, you make 10. You're multiplying it 10 times. And we're like, okay, cool. So we plant those little nuggets in our head, and we're like, okay, when I go to Taco Bell and I spend $1 here, and I don't decide not to spend that extra $1, I'm gonna make $10 on the back end. So,
and also I think you have to go back and look at the time we were in back in 2013. When we started getting into college. I mean, if you look at the social media impact of like TikTok and Instagram Reels, I don't think it was as much as it was right now. Like you'd really have to seek it out. Whereas now, I think if you get into the financial loop of like
the algorithm
or something like that, then you're going to be hearing about real estate investment or whatever investment everywhere you turn.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to seek it out a little bit more.
Okay. Well, also, I just realized that I just now started recording on this thing. So that has audio as well.
Yes.
So we'll use it. It's not going to be as good as this audio moving forward.
Perfect.
Epic.
But
that's totally fine, man. That's totally fine. You learn so much.
I need a checklist.
Check.
Oh, that's actually a good idea.
Check.
So
1, 2, 3.
Make a mistake like that again. But I'm sure, hopefully we'll get some sound from this thing. So we'll see.
We'll just go voiceover on everything that we saw and just try not to be
It's
like...
going to look like Godzilla.
No, so that, what you guys just said too, I thought is awesome. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I read books, and everyone talks about having a mentor and how big having a mentor is. And you guys had that. And then I read all those books, but just talking to you guys, I've learned so much just in our interactions.
Oh, man.
And it's something about seeing people have done it, talking to them, and then actually doing seems so much better than anything else out there.
Oh, if you can, man, I think I heard it from your podcast. Like, if you sit in front of somebody, a wise person, you can learn, what is it? How does it go? It's like 10 times more than if you're just like reading a book. I don't know, there's something about finding somebody who has been there and then asking them where you can avoid so many mistakes and you just learn so much. At least I learned so much more that way. So
not that we know everything. We're still learning at the end of the day, and we're just super grateful to be here. So again, appreciate you for having us.
Yeah.
Allowing us to open up. These are things that we talk about here and there at night to ourselves, but there's not always an opportunity to bring it up in front of other people. So definitely appreciate you bringing it out.
Yeah, you guys' story is awesome. Like, when as many people that can learn from you guys, the better. So
I appreciate that.
And you're just at the beginning too, so it's doing great things, and super excited to see what's to come. And so we were talking about school, and you guys are still early in your journey. Did you struggle like with school at all in college?
Man, school was something else. Let me tell you. I'm going to look in the camera when I say this. No, so school was interesting because, we were. People will say when you join engineering or something like that, they're going to say you're really smart, but we always laugh at them first.
Oh yeah,
and then we look at them in the eye and we say, we're not smart. I promise. We just work really hard. And I think that was something that, I'm not one of the more naturally gifted intellectuals, when it comes to studies and stuff like that.
We're just two regular guys.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we like to put our heads down and grind. So school was kind of tough, I remember. But if I tried my hardest at a test or something, of course, taking it one step at a time. But if I tried my hardest on a test, I always knew that I could at least be proud of myself, even if I made a C or a D, or if it ended up being an A or a B. Of course, I was proud of myself. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn's like one of the top engineering programs, and so you guys have this idea of getting the vacation rental, but you're also getting internships. So you're juggling a lot of things at that point. What advice would you give to college kids right now in order to get those internships? Do you think it was mainly you're studying and just really focusing hard, or is it reaching out to them, or how'd you guys get that?
I got to give my cap off to Auburn for this one. They had a program called the co-op program that...
Much like I'm sure UT had as well.
Maybe UT has like a co-op program.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I did this same. I did a co-op.
Perfect. Well, they set everything up on a tee for us. They already are, they have relationships with all these companies, and great companies want Auburn students to work for them, or any great colleges to work for them. So a great way to do that is a symbiotic relationship, because if you can get a college student in there to work for you for a little bit, learn the culture, then I'm sure the turnover to getting a job at that same company is
exponentially higher.
Pretty great, and you can start off with some good benefits. So, Auburn had that program, and they kind of stewarded us through that, and you can you kind of pick the companies that you'd like to work for, and you interview with all of them.
And generally, of course, they're going to send you through all of their different programs at whatever corporation you end up at. They're going to put you over here I actually was at Mercedes-Benz for my co-op, so I did 3 semesters there. So my first one, it was on the assembly line. My second semester, they put me in paint. Nobody wanted to be in paint. But it was cool. No, I learned a lot. And then the third one was the body shop. And so
cool.
it was really cool. I literally got to see the car built from nothing all the way to driving off the assembly line. It was cool.
And I know a lot of people stay away from co-ops because it's different than an internship. You actually are spending like a full semester there. So mine was 7 months. I don't know if you guys were 7 months, but a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's going to delay my graduating. Is it really worth it?" What do you say to that?
Oh man, I mean, if you are looking to get a job in engineering, number one, with a co-op, with our co-ops, we did a rotation. So we would do a semester at work, then you'd go back and do a semester at school, do a semester at work, and it ends up being a year's worth of engineering experience. And not only that, they pay you pretty good for a college student. You're making some pretty decent money. So,
weigh out. You kind of have to weigh that out. Like, do I want to finish college sooner and, kind of take a shot in the dark at somewhere that I might not know I like and just start making money a little bit quicker? Or do I want to kind of get my feet wet a little bit? And that's what they'll tell you in the co-op as you kind of start to endure the co-op life.
Right.
So it was unique because, we spent some time away from college, but we got a great experience out of it. So it's a good thing at the end of the day.
Yep. And I know that having that experience at the end of it, oh man, the companies, ate it up in the interviews, just having your resume built up and actually doing, engineering was a great thing at the end of it.
And you get fully ingrained in the company. Like, at least I don't know if it was the same at Mercedes, but at L3, you were doing actual work. It wasn't just going and getting coffee. Yeah. Because if you're only there for like 2 months, you can only know so many people, get used to the schedule. You're onboarded, and then you got to go back to school. But 7 months really lets you get a sense of the work culture. And for me, it was great because I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. And that kind of convinced me that, I'm doing the right thing going into the military. But,
right. Absolutely.
So I think that's a great program and helped you guys save up for your first vacation home. So how'd that come about?
That did. And so, wow, fast forward 4 years, right? 5 years because co-op.
There's a lot in college we learned. So thank you, college.
Yes, man. Met so many amazing people, some of our best friends, and really just learned a lot through that experience. And then, moving on, we ended up graduating with both of our degrees. And I think I moved down here a little bit earlier than Jeremy at first. Not because I'm not any smarter. He actually had a higher GPA, but
he was valedictorian at high school.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, no. You guys, you said you weren't a nerd.
He was number 3. He was number 3. He was right behind.
Well, I didn't know.
Were there 3 people?
There were 3 people. There were only 3 people in it. And so, I mean, it was Alabama. So, so we ended up graduating from Auburn, and I moved down here as soon as I could. Jeremy had to stay back to finish one more semester of senior design because as a mechanical engineer, you needed 2 semesters consecutively, and I needed only 1 semester. So, boom.
Doubly superior.
Hey, they spared the rod from me, and so I ended up making it down here and starting work a little bit sooner. So I was saving up every penny I could,
which was great for me because I was still in school. So I was like, Justin, you make some money over there, bud. I'm coming. I
was putting my head down, grinding. Kind of sad that he wasn't here with me.
Yeah. So how did you get a job in the Panhandle? Because you want to get here, but there's not a ton of. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of engineering companies out here.
That's another spot. I was going to say that was another huge part of just our testimony. How did we end up down here? Like, how did we get engineering positions? Both of us down here.
It's a great question.
It's a story, and it's a great question.
Man, I ended up doing, of course,
I could have gone on to work, over at L3, and that would have been great. But we had our heart set down here so that we could get into the real estate investment and everything. And so, basically, what happened was I went to a career fair, put on my suit and tie, and it was incredible. And it was actually like a whole semester or 2 before I even graduated. And
How many companies were there?
I don't know, but I circled all of them that were down here.
Exactly.
There's a
That's
lot
my
of them.
point. Like you literally go through each one and you're like, okay, location, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And then you wind up with maybe 5. Maybe 5. And that's like 3 that are in South Alabama. So that would be like an hour and a half or 2-hour drive from here. But it was like, if we can score one right next to the beach, we're golden. That's kind of where our eyes were. So
Yeah, so I mean, I think if you're going to work down in the Panhandle, you're probably going to be working for the DoD or the military in some form or fashion. There's a lot of, kind of a big concentration of military installments all down the coast, which is, something I learned whenever I was doing my research about finding a job.
No, you got
here.
the Navy and Air Force. So Panama City, I know it got hit hard with that hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
But before then, I was trying to go to Panama City. They have dive school over there. They have
right next to
Tyndall.
Justin's work.
And that's, they had Tyndall over there. Yeah.
So that's Air Force, right? All the pilots.
You got Eglin Air Force Base, of course, and then a lot of other
Hurlburt
annexes.
Field.
You got Hurlburt
Yeah, the
Field.
special and then Pensacola is not far there.
Pensacola, you
That's-
got the Navy.
The whole Navy flight school is there.
Flight school.
Wild.
The Blue Angels are there.
Wild. Lots
It's
of
a lot.
Yeah, but that's
really
military.
is.
So engineering though, were there what type of engineering do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, I can't tell you or I'd have to kill you, but I guess I'm going to tell the whole world that they're going to get mad at me for this. But no, I'm just kidding. We do, oh man, like,
He's been off of work for a couple of
what do
Yeah,
I
you just had a baby. So.
I just had a baby. I've been off for 12 weeks, but electrical engineering, we do mine countermeasures. Thank you. Mine countermeasures. And
I know when he first started, he had a lot to do with the underwater drone program.
I can't say much more than that.
All right, and it's a
we'll
really
stop,
cool
we'll
program.
stop there. Yeah,
There you go,
but-
there you go.
So did you do the career fair too? Same thing.
I did. It was exactly that. And for me, I actually ended up applying for this man's work as well. And they didn't like that we were brothers, so they were like, "Sorry, we can't take you." But
We don't like brothers.
that narrowed me down to one other spot, and it was called the Air Force Sea Eagle office on Eglin Air Force Base. And it's very heavily developmental, based. They do a lot of testing and stuff over there, flight testing and that sort of thing. So,
And that's perfect. So you guys are split about equidistant, right where Miramar Beach, Seaside is.
yep.
And
It's like we planned it.
yeah,
We literally every morning we would laugh because we'd both get in the car, and then
Not the same car, different cars.
Yes, okay, yeah, obviously. So we'd both get into 2 different cars, and I would go right, he'd go left. We'd both travel about an hour, and then we'd end up at work, and then we'd do the same thing, come back home, and kind of try to figure it out.
Flat pans on the way in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So how did you guys pick your first home?
Oh man, that was a crazy story. So our mentor, John, he was kind of looking around for us. We were kind of looking too. He's like, "Boys, I think it's time." And we were like, really, is it time? Because we can do this. All right, let's do this.
Yeah.
And so, actually, funny enough, he ended up directing us over to. We were looking at a couple different houses here and there, but they didn't really work out. He's like, you know what? You could bust a wall out here. We could throw a wall up here and have more heads to beds. Which
Basically,
is really important.
Just coaching us. But yeah, like Justin said, the more occupancy of the house, the more you can charge per head, which was something new. But nonetheless,
Something new. And so
Yeah.
he ended up kind of chauffeuring us over to this one house one day. He's like, "What do you guys think of it?" And we said, "Oh, I mean, yeah, it's cool. It has a pool. Like,
It's great.
There's a little bit of a walk to the beach, but really not that bad. If I was staying here, it seems like a pretty cool place.
I want to
stay,
say, calculating it was probably 300, about 300 yards from the beach. So 3
Wow.
football fields, and that's what we would always put on Airbnb and all that good stuff.
But there was something
but-
special about this house.
What was that?
It was actually it had run in his family. He owned it In 2005.
several years before. And it was kind of everybody's first starter home in his family. So we were very grateful that he brought the opportunity to us, since we weren't really in the family, but you know, we were all brothers and sisters in Christ. So
And you know they're taking good care of it if you
Yeah.
know the owners.
Oh, absolutely.
oh yeah,
They're
and
like,
so
you know,
his brother owned it at the time.
yes.
Uncle
Mr.
Bob.
Uncle Bob. Yeah, that's what we call Uncle Bob. And they ended up writing up. You know, we were like, okay.
No, I went and ahead and applied for a mortgage. I got denied because
short
work history. You got to have 2
years,
years of work experience to like really pique the bank's interest.
And the co-ops probably don't count because it's not like super consistent.
That's
Is
right.
that why?
That's
They
right.
didn't, but
You know, that helped with the cash piece of it, but
it did, and
Yeah.
and there are some justifications that came later, but got rejected.
so can we stop right there really quickly for the viewers? If you're young, you want to get into real estate, get a credit card early, but be smart with it. Obviously, you have to do some research.
Build your credit.
But build your credit.
Don't
That was
don't
great.
just buy random stuff on it. We could go into all the little details, but
yeah.
Yeah, pay it off every month, right?
Yeah.
Unless
pay it
Gas
off
and
every
groceries.
month. Don't carry over any balances. Just buy your gas and groceries and pay it off and build your credit up. And because it seems kind of mystical until you do that. And I know a lot of people are taught not to get credit cards or stay away from debt. That's the what we were kind of taught growing
Dave
up.
Ramsey.
Yeah, the Dave Ramsey, which that's great. Depends on where you are in your financial journey, but
And if you have another thing you can do, if you have trustworthy parents that if they're buying a car for you in high school or whatever, you can get your name on there.
come
Put it
on,
on there.
that is a great way to do it, man.
Because they want to take care of their credit too, so they're going to pay it off, and you're going to be set whenever you get a little bit older. So
Right, and if you can't even get a credit card, they deny you for that because you have to have credit to get credit, of course. And so if you get denied for that, you can always do something like Jeremy did. He ended up getting a secured loan through the bank, and
literally, you just like give them
high school or
$1,000
something.
They have your $1,000. They hold on to it. It's secured, and so every month they basically
they
take
make the
from
payments
that.
for you.
They make the payments for you, and you build the credit that
Boom,
way.
credit.
So, boom, credit.
So how'd you guys end up getting a loan though? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
what do you do? Mortgage companies
we
says
got
no.
we ended up getting creative.
We're engineers.
And as a matter of fact, it wasn't our idea, obviously, but we ended up doing an owner's finance. So they basically crafted up this penciled in contract where
It was so bare bones.
They basically said, "Hey, we want you to put down a down payment.
It was a large down payment.
It just makes sure that whoever is allowing you for that to happen, they need to leverage. So it makes it safer for them, so that you don't just bail out on them. But basically,
Right, you lose that big down payment if you, for some reason, just skip out on buying the house. So they said there's you have 2 years to get a loan from the bank.
you're gonna pay.
You're gonna pay interest every month, which I think that ended up being about $1,800.
So some people call it rent to own. So we would pay them $1,800 a month, and we would be able to, right from there, it was already furnished. We could turn around, start renting it out on a short-term basis, and say we made $5,000, subtract $1,800 from that, and that was minus
profit.
the expenses of just air conditioning, utilities, and stuff like that, and that was what you did. So we quickly fell in love with it. After that, we were like, wow, this is really cool. Easy cash flow, right?
Yeah, and the fact that you know the person too, where you still, I'm sure, get detailed of the document, make sure everything's written correctly.
Yeah.
But you know that the person's not going to try to scam you. So
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah,
that
definitely.
was very
That's
helpful
good.
for
so
us.
big. I mean, it's just a great way to start, and we couldn't have been more blessed.
So are you living in it, or
Oh no, we were
were
living.
you renting?
At this point in time, we were renting that single room
Oh, the
out
single
for
room.
I think
Okay.
it was like $300 a month. Like
per person.
per person. Yeah, so he was really good to us. It was $600 to split a room.
$600 to $700.
So how quickly are you trying to get that on Airbnb?
Oh,
from
literally,
closing?
So like there was no close involved. It was like, hey, sign your name on this piece of paper. You now can rent the house. So we literally flipped it within a week, if not quicker.
And the great thing is they already had it on Airbnb prior, so we stole all their pictures and everything, slapped it up on there with our names. We were now the hosts, and we got running. And actually, that was in September of 2018.
That was 2018. September of
2018.
2018.
So
Which, funny enough, if you know anything about, the beach, it's seasonal. So September is about the time it starts to die off.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
put
it's
down
not
a
good.
big down payment, and we needed to make a little bit of money. So we rented it out to anybody and everybody who wanted to come to our beach house.
Did you have like long, like month rentals, or was it more
At the
like
time, no, because we were like, it's short term all the way. We didn't know what we were doing. So we
Yeah.
were literally like on Facebook Marketplace, or it wasn't Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook
at the time.
groups.
Yeah.
Facebook groups scouring. Literally like, hey, come stay at our house, $700 a week. Perfect time of the year. And we're like, we've never lived here before, but this is perfect.
It really is. It really is. It's no one's here.
Yeah.
And the weather's getting cooler.
Yeah.
It's not convenient because everyone's back at school.
Yep.
But that's when you want to be in Miramar
Yes.
Beach.
We
You're
learned
not getting
right.
paid that way.
We learned the
Maybe
term
not the best time to start a vacation
Yeah.
rental, but it was the best time for us.
and
Yeah.
we learned the term snowbirds. And so
Yeah.
that was a little
Yeah.
bit very cool, you know.
Did you get snow? Because they're great renters.
We did here and there, or like
I think that first season, that first off season, we booked. It was anybody, anybody who with money who wanted to. Like
Yeah.
we just made enough to cover. I think is what our goal was until make it to spring break, and then that's when the real
That
money
was
would
cool.
come.
Yeah.
that was cool.
So what were your challenges of starting the Airbnb? Because it's
Yeah.
a new thing. You got to do the changeover cleanings. You got to
Absolutely.
communicate with the
Did-
renters, all that.
You
Yeah.
were living there at the time, right? Yeah, you were there at that.
We were
both here at that
eventually,
time.
finally, because Justin moved in January of 2018. I finally moved in early September, and then that again. So just to give you a little bit of context on when we started it, as soon as I got down and had a little bit of money, I kind of got my job and checked that off.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, of course we ran into some challenges, and I know we had Papa John on the phone and Mama Don, probably daily, like asking them questions, and I know,
Mentors.
what do we do when they don't take out the trash? Like it's so funny. It's simple, right? But like that was probably a question. What happens when your pool turns green?
Well, we were saving as much money as we could. We were the pool cleaners. We were the cleaners.
We were the cleaners.
We were everything, and we were, praise the Lord, we were doing all this with like old fashioned bookkeeping. Like we didn't have any computer software helping us or anything. We were doing it
Confirmations
all
on
written
paper.
confirmations and everything. And I think we learned the most that way.
But to further delve into your question, what you learn in short-term vacation rentals is that each guest experience from week to week, because we were mainly just trying to do a 7-day rentals, it just varied so much. People are so different. They could. It's a unique situation because you're going to see these people. You talk with them for months, answering questions here and there, and some of them are like, "Hey, do you have like things that we can take to the beach?" And you have your set.
You have
Of course,
linens?
you want to have great amenities, but I doubt we had anything like fantastic. We're just like bring your own beach towels. We have towels for you to shower with. But that kind. We just learned a lot through each week and each guest experience. Just something new.
And
How to
those
improve.
that's a lot of business decisions too. Like, so what do you decide? Do you want to provide beach gear? Do you want to put a new TV up there, or
kind of like what's everybody else doing in the market? Like kind of you could start scouring other Airbnb listings and fine tuning how you do your business. And so of course we didn't really know like how we could influence our there's a fire truck going on out there, but no, we really didn't necessarily know how exactly to fine tune it for each guest. But we learned.
I hope that's not
Okay,
getting towed.
Yeah, I was checking to see if you were getting towed.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. He's not getting towed, everybody. But
So is there anything you would recommend for people starting like a beach rental, like Airbnb, what they should include or what they shouldn't?
Of course, each Airbnb location is very different. Here at the beach, there are a lot of great things that I feel like a lot of people will provide. Is like some do beach service, which is really nice, but that's an extra cost. So it's like it's unique. And what I would say to those people is,
Research the
definitely
market.
definitely research your particular market, see what other people are doing, and see if you could add something that's a little bit better,
A little bit different. Like, just think to yourself, if you were going on vacation, what would you want? You'd probably want something a little different than what was at your house. Like, whether we haven't done a hot tub yet, but like maybe it's a great idea to add a hot tub because, I don't have one at my house regularly. It's, pretty nice luxury to have one. Whether you're looking, does the house have a pool or not?
But to go off of your point earlier, and I know we were talking a little bit before the podcast, that you should definitely reach out to people that have done it. And there was one more that's eluding me, but the idea is that you want to today I would do. You just want to get your foot in the door. It's kind of the
Get your
idea.
foot in the door.
Get your feet wet, like Gary V. You
man.
mentioned that earlier.
That's right. Yeah.
Start doing.
Because if you really just try to focus on being perfect, you're not going to start, and it's going to make things really hard. And so, out of experience, I would just say, stop asking all the hard questions, and work on one thing at a time. Get a house. That's great. Celebrate that, and then work. Of course, the
Put
next thing is
on Airbnb.
get it ready. If it doesn't come furnished, just go to some thrift stores and throw some stuff in there. And
That's what we did.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be an all brand new furniture. That's going to eventually help your business succeed and get way better reviews. But you want to continue to focus on great customer service. If you're lacking a little bit in the furniture side, be great at customer service. Just be great in a couple of those areas. And it will translate to your business, and eventually you can start kind of optimizing it after that. So that would be one big piece of advice that I would give to new owners.
Yeah, it seems like it worked out great for you guys because now we're sitting here at a brand new house. So what was your next step after that first house you guys have?
Oh man, it was. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Are you talking about the Emerald Bungalow?
Yeah.
Oh man, we moved on. I think we really put our heads down and grinded in that Airbnb. We learned so much. I mean, we were penny pinchers. We did everything to save money, which can be great, but there's some lessons learned in, later on. You can't save. Basically, you need your time. Your time is so valuable, and so we finally rolled around to about a year and a half later. So.
It was about a year and a half later when we finally applied for a mortgage and got it, and we were like, praise.
Oh, we did. Yeah, that's right. We ended up getting the mortgage.
And I think give it another 6 months, and we were so ecstatic about how the first house was going. We're like, let's multiply this. Let's try our hand at a second Airbnb. I wonder what it would be like in the summer if you had to. And
is it investment property mortgage or?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. So our first one, we ended up doing investment property mortgage. Like we said, we already had a large lump sum down payment, which helped. And for an investment property, you're going to be looking at 20% down payment on whatever you're buying. So so our first one was, but our second one, we got creative. We found out about something called a second home mortgage. So really useful if you already have a primary residence. For those of you who might be listening who want to get into vacation rentals and you have a primary residence, this might come in handy because you only have to do 10% down, at least 10% down to get your foot in the door. And you have to you have to stay there for 2 weeks out of the year, but you can rent it out the rest of the time.
So that right there, I'm glad Justin brought that up because, say you're living in Alabama or not necessarily a vacation spot. Generally, there is a stipulation where that second home needs to be 50 miles away from your primary home, which is unique. We'll get into our situation here in a second. So 50 miles, but that's perfect for somebody that already has that primary home. You might have put 5% down, or if you're in the military, you may have done a VA loan, and you could have even done it for 0% down. But it's a cool opportunity to get an investment like property,
right?
That is in a vacation spot somewhere while paying less at the end of the day.
We already had our investment property, and so we really wanted our families to have a place to come stay, just a second home, so that my wife and I had met at that time, and we had just gotten married,
and we wanted a place for her family to come and stay at every now and then, well, why not make money on the side of that? And that's the second stipulation. It's in order to get a second home, the IRS requires you to stay in it for 14 days out of the year, which we are. Like, at the end of the day, we're going to go in there. We're going to put some work into it for a week to get it listed. And we're also going to spend some other couple weeks with the family. We really are. Our intent was to spend time with family, and it just provided a perfect experience, opportunity to do that.
And 14 days isn't long at all.
No.
No. Especially if you're doing maintenance on the home.
Yep. You have to go in and do maintenance anyway.
Enjoy it a little bit. So get a
absolutely.
better rate, less down, right? So
yeah, right.
Like
of course,
this
is all well prior to the real estate market doing what it did, and of course we can talk about that a little bit. Let me just tell you, we barely scraped. Let me tell you, like, if you're thinking about doing a business or something like that, like, you really just have to dive in, because there's always a reason to say no. Yep. And you're going to be, of course there's fear. It's the unknown, but like, you
a lot of questions.
Have to take a step, because our second home, we barely scraped up enough money to put down the 10% into the property. But I think this one ended up paying off so much, like, in the end. Yeah, and to go off that, I was just on Zillow one day. This is the story. I was on Zillow. We were on Zillow just randomly, actually, because I never looked at Zillow. It was just kind of a weird experience where we were toying around with the idea, but just popped on there and I saw this cute little house, 1950s
bungalow
built on a cinder block. The house was a cinder block house. and so it was cute, but of course it needed work. And, that was our goal. It's like, something that we could add some appreciated value and do a little bit of work to it while renting it out a little bit. So, and that way we'll force appreciation, and who knows what the market will do. Maybe that'll appreciate as well.
We called our mentor and we said, hey, Mr. John, what do you think about this house? And his thing is always, well, do you get the warm and fuzzies? Like, how does it feel in your spirit? Like, do you feel good about it?
And we love the house. We were like, if we can make it work, this would be great. But we don't want to get it we don't want to overpay. So we'll tell you the story. I think they listed it for $465,000 or something like that. And we were like, wow, that's a lot. Like,
for this old house.
How much square feet, you think?
It was 1375.
Okay.
1,375 square foot.
And where was it located? Like, in the Panhandle? What city?
This one was in Miramar Beach as well. Actually, a couple blocks from our investment property. So there's a unique story on how we were able to do a second home.
Good job circling back around to that.
Yeah, because...
So like a walk to the beach. Like, you could walk.
Oh, it was even closer.
Than our other one.
It was probably like half the distance, and in a really nicer neighborhood,
really quaint.
All the houses were just unique. Had you could tell that they started building in that neighborhood a little bit. So we just explained it to ourselves that it was up and coming, and it had private deed.
This one had charm.
And so they listed it for $465,000, which is $46,500. Not including closing costs and stuff like that. If we were going to do a 10% down 10% down second home.
Yeah.
And so Papa John says, in the market we're in currently in 2020,
2020.
2020.
Right before COVID. This is March of 2020. So literally, COVID is knocking on the front door.
Oh yeah, it's in Asia, but it's not here yet.
But the idea of it was swirling, and people were kind of scared, which it did cool down the market a little bit. And there were talks of like rental bans a little bit, but we weren't scared. We were like, surely this will blow over.
When it opens up, it's going to be a floodgate.
Maybe we said that, but
I don't know.
No, nonetheless, we ended up putting in an offer for, I think, $385, because we were looking at some comps. Maybe a house went for $375.
I thought it was like $425.
No. At first, it was literally like low. Very low.
That's low.
$395. It was probably like $395. And we were just going to see what they said.
70, so like 70 below asking price.
Yes. And they ended up coming back to us and they said, hey, we learned some information along the way too. We learned that the people that owned the house actually had bought another house. So they were eager sellers.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, maybe we can use this a little bit in our negotiating. And by the way, at this point in time, we're not realtors. We're not real estate agents. We're just kind of
Kids.
flying by the seat of our pants. We're kids. We're 21 or 20.
No,
well,
we're like 23.
we're 23
24.
or 24 at
Something
the time.
like that.
And so we lowball them, and they laughed at us, and they said no. We have somebody else in this race as well. By the way,
We're
kids.
like, okay.
We're like,
Cool.
all right.
So we think you're bluffing, but okay.
They're like, look, tomorrow we're going to do a best and final offer, and we're like, okay, well
What's our best?
see what we can do. So I think we did 415. At the end of the day, we were able
I
to
think
like
you're right.
coax our spirit up to go up to like 415, and we're like, oh, that's
So they
like,
didn't even counter. They didn't even counter to your low
Well,
offer.
they
It was
did.
best and final.
they did. We
They said they ended up coming up to like whatever their price was, pretty much.
yeah. So
They
basically,
said-
go ahead.
I think they just said, I don't even know if they
like
counted.
460, like maybe like barely lower.
Well, they didn't counter that. They basically said no.
Let's just do
since
best
y'all
and
did-
final.
Yeah, we'll do best and final. Since y'all said 415, you guys actually lost out to these the other people that were in it for the house. So we were definitely kicking the tire.
We were
for
bummed
like
for
2
like
weeks.
We were so bummed, but we said, you know what? Like at the end of the day, this is our number, and we're sticking with it, and we're not gonna feel too bad if we don't get it. Like if the Lord wills it, it'll come back to us.
It'll come back to us. Right.
And so we lost,
And
we were bummed,
but
even
just,
though we said that.
I think we moved on from there. We're like, we didn't even look at other houses. We were just like, just believing a little bit and just kind of like, just still working our jobs. So 2 weeks later, we get a call from the same realtor. And by the way, we're using the realtor that's selling the house. So he's kind of, come to find out, he's a little eager himself because he could do double commission. And he's like, hey, they ended up doing the inspection report. And it's again, you guys know, it's a 1950s home. Things things didn't quite look as good for the other people, but we wanted to come
There was
see
some
if you
wood
guys-
rot.
Yeah, just some stuff that us young folks weren't scared of. And
We can fix that.
but they
Fix
were like,
anything.
are y'all still interested? We said, yes.
Yes.
Then we were like, but only for 405. And they were like,
Even lower than what
Yeah.
our first offer was, and
Yeah.
they said, okay. So that's kind of how that went, man.
So did you guys? So you had your number you're thinking of. Did you account for like what you think you could rent it for, or was it more what you could afford? Or?
we knew
Yeah.
what we could rent. We knew what we could rent it for because it was the same amount of bedrooms and baths as our other house.
Yeah.
And actually, it was a 3-2, but it actually had this quaint little outdoor bunk room that the previous owners had made for their grandchildren. And we were like, that's more heads to beds, and we could get it at a better value than a 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
and the kids would love it.
But the kids will love it.
To be honest, our analysis game wasn't quite there yet. We didn't really know. Like, I'm sure we kind of did some calculations on, okay, like if we had this house, kind of start subtracting our debts and our income and try to figure out what our cash flow was with our other house. That was the best we could
We
do.
knew that we were going to do well enough because
Yeah.
think about it, like we knew that the mortgage was probably going to be about a little
the
over
time.
$2,000, and we were making $3,000 per week in the summer
Wow.
months. Like
that's
that
awesome.
is
It
blew our
life-changing.
minds,
Yeah.
So we knew that we were going to cover, and that was good enough for us.
Oh yeah. And you can't get that with long term.
Oh
Like,
no!
You're not getting those spreads.
And even today, it's a little bit different of a ball game, with the interest rates a little bit higher. We're now in 2023, and of course, 2022 was very much a quantitative quantitative tightening. And so,
Money printer's not going burr anymore.
money printers ain't burning.
They got cobwebs on them, I
Yeah.
think.
And not only that, but so with that being said, higher mortgage rate. If people are going to come on vacation, they're going to want it for a little bit cheaper. So your cash flow is not as great, but still probably one of the best investments in our opinions that you can make.
Oh yeah, but going back to real quick, I'm sorry, Mike.
Okay.
Going back to, I wanted to circle. I keep saying that. I wanted to circle back around to how we end up justifying the second home. And so what we did was we used a mortgage broker. He's amazing. We still use him to this day. We've used him on a couple different homes, and he wrote up a justification. Since my wife and I were getting married, we pretty much just stated that to the underwriter that, hey, we're getting married. We want a place for our families to come visit now. And, which was true. And he was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. I'll go ahead and write the loan for you guys.
And
So
and
wanted
send
to
it.
make-
at the end of the day, the goal was to address the people that are on the back end. Who is on? Yeah. So at the end of the day, the goal was to address the underwriter. And just let him know, hey,
have a justification.
So, of course, he might have had some other questions, but it ended up working out for us to where our two homes were literally
not
miles
too far from each other.
5 miles from each other.
No, less than 5. It was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear. Going to a mortgage broker is the best way to do it because they know all the different types of loans and your situation, and they'll shop around and get you the best rate, best fit, all that. Where'd you guys find your mortgage broker?
I think it was word of mouth.
Papa John?
I don't think it was Papa John.
He's probably dealing in cash at the time.
I feel bad that I know exactly who it was. It was the realtor who got us the second house.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Hey, I have somebody that you guys can contact for lending and the rest."
Go ahead and chat him out.
Yeah. So it was Walton Funding. Robert Cornett, thank you, Robert. He's just a great guy, and he really will work with you to try to find the best thing.
I mean, and just like that, insurance brokers are the same. Like going down a little rabbit hole, just like finding brokers that will, they'll shop around for you. They instead of having, because it can get so tiring, and this is for the people who are just starting out, like going from bank to bank. You're just shopping at one bank, but if you can find a good broker, you're shopping at multiple banks at the same time and not having to give your information and go down that rabbit hole so many times, and it gets you really tired.
Yeah, and you may be getting a little fee to the broker because they're doing a job, right, that needs to be done. Yeah. But then
so worth it.
In the case of a mortgage, all that money, like even just a few percentage points of an interest rate is huge.
Big, yeah.
So you guys were saying that the house needs some work, though. So do you know what you needed to do, or you just kind of start listening to it and then fix stuff as they came up?
After our first house, I think we had an idea of kind of what we needed to do. And I will say I've never fit 2 bunk beds in a room. It's the best we did with this house. Literally, we squeezed it together, and if anybody wanted to move these things, they're going to have to take it apart.
You might have to saw it in half.
It was cool. We didn't even do it built-ins. We literally just bought them off of Facebook Marketplace. Kind of similar vibes, but just squeezed them in the, so that's one thing that, you want to have a kid's room. We knew to do that. The other things...
It was a full over full. One was a twin over twin, and one was a full over full. So you could
2 bunk beds, double bunk beds.
Double bunks.
No, like they literally squeezed in there barely.
Do you count the full as 2 or 1?
Yes, 2.
Okay,
for sure.
Absolutely.
So it's 2, 4, 6, 8. No.
Oh, I see.
It was a twin over twin, so that's 1, 2, and then 2. So that's 6 people in that one room.
But
we could fit 14 people in the house.
And then generally, we like to get the pools with a trundle underneath that can pull out. So that was another bed as well. Okay. And this pool, or this house actually didn't have a pool, so we went to Tractor Supply and we bought a stock tank pool, which started becoming a more of a thing.
Trend.
And it's literally like 6 foot in
diameter
and 3 foot in depth.
And then we hooked. It's basically a cow trough, and we hooked a filter up to it, and a pump and a filter, and
let it cycle.
Threw some chlorine in there, and it worked. You could check on Airbnb that you had a pool,
and that's a lot easier to maintain too than a lot of these in-ground pools. Like you don't know where the problem is, all the piping's hidden, and that's super simple.
Oh yeah, I mean the pump was a little
Intex, like
it was funky at times. The filters would kind of get clogged here and there, and you just got to go buy some new ones.
And
but
of course, over time, the motor's not going to run as good. So, there were some things that we learned along the way, but it worked great. And
it was great.
As you had, if you're scaling to, 3, 4, 5 houses, of course, you're not going to probably want to have that. I mean, I don't know if you can probably pay a pool company to come change the little filter for you, but that
maybe your cleaner, you might be able to pay your cleaner or something.
Yeah, maybe that's a great creative thought. Yeah.
But from that point on, we didn't clean our rentals anymore. We hired it out, and that goes back to our time. Our conversation on value and time. But anyway,
do you do inspector, or is it one service, clean and inspect, or?
Yeah, okay. It was. They would inspect it for us, tell us if there was anything wrong. But she was great. She was a local. She owned her own cleaning company, and she had multiple cleaners that would come. And generally, she would assign one cleaner per house, and it was the same person doing the clean every single time. So they knew how to clean your house really well by the end of it.
And to touch on that point, for Airbnbs, you're gonna want to have a great cleaner because that's the
Pay them well.
That is the bones of your entire business. If you're missing a couple bones, you're gonna fall flat on your face. And they are.
You don't want bad cleaning reviews.
Yeah. So if it's a
Mike knows that.
an interesting business. It's can be tough, but we were blessed with the great cleaners.
Well, as a customer, I mean, that's one of the first things I'm looking at is the reviews.
Oh yeah.
So even if you have a 4-star nowadays, that's rough.
Not good enough.
Yeah,
man, not good enough.
You're trying to get that 5-star review,
Right, and you got to think about the algorithms too. Like the higher the stars, the more they're going to bump you up there because they want the best. Airbnb wants the best products out there, and so they're incentivized to put the higher stars, the best properties at the top of the list to keep getting rented out, and you don't want to be at the bottom of the list.
So how did the pandemic affect you guys? Because that was, you said 2020, and then soon after, weren't they like closing the beaches out here?
That's right. And that was very interesting. Very interesting thing because, of course, like we had mentioned earlier, we put all of our money into the second house, and just kind of ready to go. It ended up working out in our favor because while the rental ban kind of just kicked off, we started, furnishing it, and all of our friends would come and help us, and just
so grateful for them.
Super grateful for a lot of our best friends would just like come bring us stuff, come paint things, put it on the wall, and we're like, that's awesome.
We scraped it together, didn't we?
Yes. And so, of course, like at the time we were nervous because we were like, oh, here we go.
A pandemic. You don't know how long it's going to last. But, like, they're over here canceling, NCAA tournament. Like, that's not a small feat.
Yeah. But little did we know, like a month later, they unlocked the rental ban. People are done with being cooped up in their house, and they are ready to come on vacation. And
it was our best year yet.
But it was our best year ever. And not only that, but the government was also incentivizing you to travel because they were giving you stipends. Right?
Yeah,
people working remote too.
People were working remote.
Weren't you guys ended up working remote?
And that helped us so much. I mean, we didn't have the hour, 2 hours of driving each day.
Yeah.
For each of us, we were able to, work from home and then go straight over to the rental to, build furniture or whatever we were doing.
Kind of clean
Get it ready.
Yeah.
And so that's 2 houses, and this still isn't this house. So you guys, with all that influx of people, all the renters, I'm sure you're doing well. And You're like, okay, let's get another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was another interesting just life event where, of course, like Justin had mentioned, right when we got our second house, Justin and Meg got married. So they were like, hey, we want to go live by ourselves, obviously, and have some privacy at least our first year. And it was actually going to be the next 20 years, right? They wanted to keep that privacy.
Live alone. Right? Everybody wants to live alone.
Yeah, absolutely. But then they knew that they couldn't keep the twin away.
You guys, you guys couldn't still have been in the same room, right? So did you get another rental?
We
you guys were sharing the same bedroom, right?
We went and lived with Billy
We were living with one of our good buddies. Basically, he ended up turning into one of our really good buddies as well, the guy that owned the house. But so it was a house filled with like 5 guys. We were then again living in the same room. Justin finally got married, and they split off.
Yeah, we went to an apartment
complex, which was rather expensive at the time. And I know
at the time it wasn't too bad compared to what it is now down here.
Well, you guys are used to paying like $400 a month.
That's a very good point.
Everything's expensive.
Anything is expensive after that.
So, but I remember very distinctly that after the first year of living in the apartment complex, Justin and Meg had an opportunity to renew the lease, but it was going to be.
Okay, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. Oh no.
Are we live?
All right, we're back.
Perfect.
We're recording.
Sorry, Mike, if that was me. I don't know.
No, we're good. That's my bad.
I love it. Nope. So
sorry to cut you off, but you said okay. So you guys you get married. Congrats.
Oh, dude, and I also have to give a hats off to my wife while we're here because, man,
MVP.
You want to know how I figured out that I wanted to marry her? I put her to the test. I mean, she was in the rental, driftwood escape with us cleaning every weekend. She still dreads that house. She's like, has nightmares.
That's a lot of work to do the cleanings.
Oh,
It was a lot. I mean,
Every
we're already
Saturday.
working 40-hour-week jobs, and then every Saturday
Just
you
the
add
laundry.
cleaning.
Like, if you have that many beds, what do you do with the laundry?
You
It's
got
8
you have
hours.
to have two
sets.
Two sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we would clean them the day of. We would try to clean the other set as much as we could the day of in the house while
When
we were
was
cleaning.
check out and check in? Because sometimes you have the same day, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
It
pretty
was
much
always
stacked.
normal.
We made it. Our bookings were 7 days a week. It was Saturday to Saturday. So
Yeah.
we were having people check out at 10 a.m. Right,
10 a.m.
and they were checking. A new group of people was checking in at 4 p.m. So do the math on that. That's how long we had to clean, and sometimes we were mopping on our way out as they were going in, and it was kind of funny. They're like, "You guys must be the cleaners," and we're like. And we're the owners
And
too.
the owners.
So it'll be good.
But that's awesome that you guys are getting that dirty work in, so you understand and you know what's important.
Oh,
It was vital.
Yeah.
We have a mad respect for our cleaners, and it really taught us the value of the job that they do, and it gave us the ability to communicate with them well. We knew how to communicate with them, and their stress points, and it was really eye opening for us at the front end.
Absolutely. Like if something did happen where, maybe the cleaner was running behind a little bit, there's never a time where we would like go in and berate them. Like it was all just an equal understanding of how difficult it really is. And we were just always super grateful, man. We would tip them extra if
Yeah.
they were running a little bit late because we knew they were might be having a bad day, because they're over there scrubbing floorboards and stuff. So very appreciative. But
Lots of grace. It gave us a big perspective of grace, and
That's
that
awesome.
was great.
Did you have the same luck with tenants, or do you have any tenant horror stories?
Oh yeah,
we have some.
We have some horror stories. We have some great ones that we still consider family. That's the cool thing about it.
Oh,
you get to
my
meet people
goodness.
from all around the U.S.
Kind of like your dad. Like we were over there greeting them every week too.
Yeah.
I mean, mostly because we were, like I said, sweeping ourselves out the door. But
Well, you live so close too, so that's awesome.
That's a plus.
it is
huge.
plus. I
Some
mean,
people do it remotely, but I mean,
yeah, I
this is
think
way better.
One
I mean-
day we want to do it remotely and just have that flexibility.
That's our next
kind of
step.
around.
But you don't have that connection to the people, and that's something
Yeah.
special about that too.
It is.
there's
very
people
much
kind of take care of your stuff a little bit better if they see your face and know, you're just a hardworking, kid trying to
22
build a
year old.
business, and they generally kept our stuff in better condition.
Yeah.
Um,
But you do have some stories. You have one you want to share?
Oh,
Tell the world.
I'll actually
Expose them.
Yeah, I think
Call them out.
Definitely. Sorry.
Call 'em out.
If they'll probably look at us and remember and laugh, but they were not happy at the,
The
time.
twins.
The twins, except for other things. But so here's what happened. One day, our friends reached out to us from out of town, and they said, "Hey, we're in town. We would love to go catch up, get something to eat, go to a restaurant, and show them some good seafood around
over in
here."
30A or something.
And so yeah, that's what we did. It's about a 40-minute drive. And I remember talking with our next door neighbor. He did vacation rentals as well. And he was just, I don't know what week it was. It must have been a holiday weekend going into a full
Around
week.
spring break.
Yep,
Spring break.
must have been a spring break week. And he was like, "Hey, do you guys have family or spring breakers coming in this week?" Of course, he's probably more so curious for his guest's sake, right? And
Yeah.
he's just asking, like, wondering what's going on. And so I remember having that conversation with him that day. We're like, we're definitely having a family.
Yeah, like
Praise God. The weekend prior, we probably had some kids, but they weren't that bad.
so. We after our cleaning, we met this family over at the house, and
Guys.
it was these.
Notice he did the air quotes, family.
You guys
Comes
can't
back.
see it if you're just listening, but it ended up being these two younger guys, and I believe the best in people. Like whenever people tell me that their family's coming later, I'm like, all right, like it's cool. You guys are kind of our age, which is kind of funny.
And you
but like
and you also get a lot of people traveling from different points, so they'll kind of meet up.
Yeah.
It's just it happens all the time. So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, Johnny and Ben. That's probably not their names, but Johnny and Ben showed up, and we're finishing laying some of our wood chips down. Just kind of finishing up some tasks. They're like, "Hey, we can even help you."
like, wow, these are great kids. These are great guys.
They're great. But come to find out, they were just trying to rush us out because all their other buddies
Were
probably
coming
about
behind them,
another.
probably.
Our house.
Their family.
Yeah,
They're
they're family.
But our house could sleep
what we would say 14 people in this
In a 4-bedroom.
or in a 4-bedroom,
That's tight.
2-bathroom. One
That's tight.
the garage was also converted to a bedroom. So like there's another way to do it, boys and girls. And we didn't do that, but somebody in the family must have in our mentor's family. But so they're they rush us out. We're also rushing too because we're trying to go see our friends. And we get out there and we get a call, like probably an hour into eating. It was a great night, and our friends could laugh about this story too because we're like, oh my gosh. The next door neighbor just called one of our good buddies, and he was like, hey, I thought you said a family was staying in your house. And we're like, they are. He's like, no.
This isn't a family.
There's flashing lights at the front door. Like, you need to come.
There's
Not
loud
this-
music, flashing lights, and there's
Yeah.
like probably about 25 people at your property right now.
It's like an EDM concert going on or something.
yeah, right.
Well,
right.
we roll up and
we book it home. We're like, oh, like kind of thinking what the worst. Yeah.
Like we're naturally not like very mean people. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I'm getting
We're
scared.
kids too.
I'm
We're
like,
kids too.
Yeah, I'm just gonna show up. They're gonna think I'm one of them. Like, so
That's exactly what happened.
so we showed up. We roll up and we're like, oh, this is a party. This is a college party, and there literally are like 26 people, bunch of people in the pool, bunch of people inside, and so we're
The
like,
door's wide open. We're like, there goes our utility bill.
we're thinking a
AC
lot
crank.
differently than they are.
Yeah.
And so
We're like, we're one of you guys, but we were once one of you guys, but this is our property now. So we actually roll up. The good old Twinvestors roll up to this house. We weren't the Twinvestors at the time.
we were just Jeremy and Justin.
And we start kind of strutting in, and we're like, kind of
We
look
like
at them.
kind of make a game plan. Jeremy and I like make a game. We're gonna go in there. We're gonna find John.
Yeah, John.
Whoever booked with us.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
But we're gonna look for him, right?
We're gonna look for him. We're gonna ask around for him, and then we're gonna raise some cane.
People, the eyes are a little bit on us, like who are these people? But they kind of like let it slide because I'm sure they met some people, other people at the house. So we walk up in there, and we stare them all. That
There's
the
beer
floor is wet.
pong. The floor is soaked of alcohol
There's
from like the party.
A hole in the door. You could definitely smell some other things going on in the house. And
So we say, "Hey, where's John? Where's John?" They're like, "Oh, he's over here." We couldn't find him, so we just said, "Everybody, listen up! You guys better clean this place. Get this place spick and
Spotless.
span. We're gonna be back in an hour, and if this place isn't spick and span, we're calling the cops, and you guys are all out."
literally, it's like
All
the
of a
first-
sudden-
they just got there.
That's when you guys became the Twinvestors, like your coming of age moment.
We grew up. There was so much hair on my chest after that moment. I felt so good.
No, it was just so interesting because it's something that we worked
They
so
said-
hard for. They could
Yeah.
care less, and it was very much us trying to explain that to them that this is our baby and that like this is our livelihood.
They said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." I said, "Oh,
Here's
this
a mop.
This is cool."
Here's a mop. Find a mop. Go, actually, you guys go to the store, buy
Buy
some new
cleaning
mops,
supplies.
and get to work because we're gonna come back and
Patch
check.
that hole in the wall.
It was tense. I remember very much remember some people crying and people had to leave. Some people left.
We kicked all the girls out.
Come to find out, the mom that actually booked the house for the kids, which was a tactic, of course. She acted like she was actually going to end up coming and staying there
Yeah.
anyways. But nonetheless, she was very mad at us because we ended up asking them to also pay some extra money for
the damages.
damages.
for some damages and
On
also,
top of taking their damage deposit.
yeah, on top
which
of that,
We took their damage deposit and we required more.
they were all underage.
They were all underage drinking.
That's also
to
liability.
us.
That's a liability.
And it's moments like that where you have to protect your asset, and it's like just a righteous like anger that we felt like we had, but of course it ended there after that.
They ended up cleaning up the house.
That's good.
They did end up staying the rest of the week. We didn't really have any
were blessed.
any problems
We
with
blessed
them. I know we did. I think we did come see them at the very end just to make sure that they were cleaning up properly again.
Yeah.
But we said we understand that you guys want to have fun. Just like keep
Legally.
it limited, keep
Yeah.
it limited, and keep it legal.
Legal.
Keep it legal. You guys, first of all, you lied to us. You said that your family was coming. And
Yeah.
No, but this isn't your family.
But
So-
so I was gonna just say for the viewers that might be scared of that, we hear people actually make that excuse all the time. That of course you don't know who's gonna come stay at your place, but
You can do a good job vetting it.
but there are other resources like people around the place that can keep an eye on it. There are also the cops. there are also just, you could be a little more skeptical, not skeptical, but just be a little more choosy about the people that you do let stay at your house.
Most people don't allow renters under 25, and now we don't really do that unless it's like a family friend or something like that. So
Yeah. And you guys, like, what do you do for the Airbnb review on those guys? Because that's a touchy subject
So
too.
that was actually before we figured out the power of Airbnb. Airbnb was still, it wasn't IPO'd yet or anything like that. It was still people
up and
used
coming.
it, but
Yeah.
we didn't see the value because we were still kind of in like a broke mindset a little bit.
We
And
wanted
yeah,
to
you
keep the
saved some
fee.
money.
We wanted to
we
keep the
saved
fee.
money.
Yeah.
We wanted to keep the fee, and so we booked everything out through the paper contracts and everything.
And like Facebook groups and all that.
Facebook
And-
groups
Yep. That's
kept
right.
it,
So they
So you
left
could-
us a review in our little booklet, but that's as far
Yeah.
as it went.
it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's another benefit of Airbnb though, is that you have those reviews and you can,
Yeah.
people are more incentivized not to throw parties or do anything like that. I saw too for like New Year's Eve, they even like banned the 1-day parties. 'Cause
Oh, wow.
Like Airbnb doesn't want that to be their image. So
Oh
Wow.
yeah,
it could
man.
change. So I think it's great to have be able to do everything.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I kind of like their setup.
Booking platforms like that do make things more efficient. You have all the calendars, and it was, you do have to pay for the fee, but at the end of the day, you have the chats all right there, and there are other third-party platforms that you can actually merge your VRBO and Airbnb together, and that's something that we're
communicate with everybody in one
central location. And that's something we're very passionate about. It being, somebody that's gone through Airbnb.
We learned the old school way too, and like just being able to do everything from one place and just
Super valuable.
become more efficient.
And
Yeah.
I know that's something that we're eager to teach people and to educate people on, just the newer things that are available to people that even rent from far away from their vacation rental. So
And then like taxes too. Did you guys do the taxes all yourself, or do you have someone helping you out there?
The first couple years we did it ourselves.
Yep.
Wouldn't recommend it.
We wouldn't recommend it because we didn't know how to do it, and I'm pretty sure we messed it up. So our CPA afterwards came back and kind of cleaned it up for
Yeah.
us. And I remember
They tried to
the
like
IRS
penalize
tried to
us,
penalize us on a few things.
which fair enough. But we kind of like gave them
A justification.
a justification. Like we didn't really know what we were doing. We finally hired a CPA.
They gave
came
us-
back in and corrected it, and we paid our dues of what
They
we were
get
supposed to.
they ended up giving us some leniency. We did write up a long thing, but lessons learned. I would definitely, if you can afford it, use a CPA at some point. And
Yeah,
there's-
QuickBooks.
those experts are great at what they do, and they can help you save money in the long run.
Oh yeah, all the strategies, like the little tax strategies.
Huge.
Oh yeah,
Huge.
definitely.
So how'd you guys? So you have the 2 rentals, and so you got married.
Yep.
You're getting out of there. So when was
Oh,
your
yeah.
next move?
Yeah, that was man, that was in the middle of whenever interest rates had started to rise, but the housing market, it took off, and we noticed in a
Yeah.
big way because prices were skyrocketing around here, as they were everywhere in the United States, everywhere in the world. I'm sure, like,
And renting is great and all, but it's nice to have your own space to
Right.
be creative and to dream. And as you can see in this room, we put some touches in here to kind of
Oh,
just
yeah.
keep our minds going, churning and stuff. So we were like, that might be a great move.
and we could live together and still save money because rent was still pretty high. We could own our own house and still pay less than paying somebody else rent. And at the end of the day, we could always rent it out. And, it's great living in a location where people want to live. Like in the Panhandle of Florida, you're never going to have a shortage of people who want to live in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great state. And hey, Jeremy and I always say that the Lord, there isn't much that the Lord,
Can't-
He's not making one thing anymore, and that's land, right?
Yeah.
And so, us
Especially
being
on the beach.
especially on the beach. So there's already a scarcity level there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking about supply and demand, there's shortage of supply, and you have high demand for people who want to live in this area. And now that you can, pretty much work from anywhere, people want to live, live in a beautiful place and work from a beautiful place.
People were flocking down here.
Wow.
They
it was
were, and
insane.
so in the height of the market, we
started praying about
started
it.
praying about it. My wife was like, hey, we should think about getting it. I got to tip my cap to her on this one. She was like, we should look at getting a house together. We could save some money. We could
Rent out the rooms. That was kind of
rent out house
Yeah.
hack.
Yep.
We get a house hack. So
We're like, that's cool because at the end of the day, we just had gotten our second Airbnb, or a little bit after. It would have been about a year at that point, and we're like,
we might not even have to pay any rent because we could have some roommates and they'll pay a significant amount of our mortgage, which bless them for that.
and we can live a little more comfortably than what we had been. I mean,
Small apartment, big
small
money.
small rooms living together. That was tough.
Did you have a dog at that point?
Meg and I got a dog soon after we got married in the apartment. So
Yeah,
we were in the
that's
apartment
tight,
complex.
too.
That
Love
was another
that.
thing. I know Finley Grace loves the yard back there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That was another
Little
big
golden
thing,
retriever.
having a yard for our dog, and I don't know, it just seemed like the right move at the time. So
You do like
sure
a
enough.
FHA or like primary residence?
Primary. We
Just
were
the
finally
primary.
able to use primary.
Yeah.
conventional.
We're working our
Conventional.
way backwards from what everybody usually does, like a primary, second home, and then investment. We did an investment, second home, primary.
Mhm.
And so we were able to do 5% down. We had to pay some PMI, but
Yeah, and even that, like to talk to PMI really quickly, like you might put 10% down on a second home, or 15% down on a second home, or 5% down. But as the market went up, we were able to apply for private mortgage insurance, just
to get it taken off.
to get rid of it.
Because we had enough equity.
You just have to get an appraiser out there, right? Pretty
Yes,
much?
sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. And we
either an appraiser or something called a broker's price opinion. And a BPO is a little bit cheaper, and they don't have to come into the house or anything. They literally just drive by and look at the comps.
he'll ask us it. Wow, that was
what
very
we did.
choppy. But he'll ask us what we did and what the value was to each one, and then
Yeah.
he'll also ask for some pictures of each room and that sort of thing. And like Justin said, it's about $150. But we've done that for 2 properties now, and it goes under value. Like a lot of people, it just flies under the radar.
Dude.
But it saves us $150 a month,
Oh, yeah.
and so
It's huge.
super cool. So that's what we were doing. We weren't realtors at the time. Again, at this point in time, we went to one of our really good buddies, Michael, who's just a
Excellent realtor. If you're looking for a luxury real estate agent in the area, he sells
Absolutely.
some beautiful homes, and
What's
he
his
does
last
a great
name?
job. Michael Townge
yeah. So appreciate him.
with the scenic stuff, the beast.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we ended up using him, and he's very crafty as well. Just has been in this business for probably about 5 years now at this point, and has just really done well with putting together his craft and going to the right mentors and seeing the right people. So
So we ended up, we ended up applying. I think there were a couple other bidders on this house, but he helped us craft a really strong offer, and we ended up getting the house, and we were super excited about it.
yep.
This was in 2021.
It's almost
May?
been 2 years. Starting in
May.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
May 2021.
It sounds like you guys surrounded yourself with people that it's like, okay, I have this goal. I know I want to do this. How can we make this work? Like
man.
legally and all that, but
Yeah.
they're not just making excuses,
Oof.
and that you guys are getting things done.
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you brought that up because
Building a great team.
building a great team, having the right title agency to work with, having the right real estate people that are pros at their craft, very skillful.
And all this may seem kind of foreign to those of you who want to get into vacation rentals, but just like we said, take it one step at a time. And they're great. You're a real estate agent. If you find one, they might have a great title company that they use, all the time. They probably have great relationships with everybody, even banks and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that might be a great place to start.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So why do you guys end up being realtors yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, there are other people that are great at their craft, and but I think the biggest thing for us was we wanted to make commission on our own deals. And actually, you know what? We have another mentor of ours, who does commercial real estate. His name is John Roberts. He works. Oh, and funny story how we met him. We met him through our vacation rentals as well. Because
Super cool.
funny enough, his parents came and stayed with us at our first vacation rental, Driftwood Escape.
And they're Auburn grads.
And they're Auburn grads, and they said, you know what? Our son works for the planning department, so I mean, great contact to have. And he graduated from Auburn. He's a real estate lawyer. So there you go.
Yeah.
Sets us up with a real estate lawyer. You guys should totally chat with him. And we were like, and Beth, his wife too.
she's on the real estate sales side where he does the lawyer side, and then they also have
Their own brokerage.
title company, and their own brokerage.
So they have everything under one roof, which
Yeah.
is incredible. They were like, you guys should be doing your own deals. Why aren't you doing They really encouraged us to go ahead and
Take
get
that
our
step.
real estate license, because at the end of the day, it was just a test. You get your fingerprints done, and
I mean, at this point, we already knew a lot about the real estate industry. We had been in it, fully engulfed in it for three and a half years.
we
And
spoke
so,
lingo already.
absolutely.
So we were it's kind of funny not to get your own commission on it, because you could be making that's 2.5%. We're talking $10,000 to $15,000 on some of the deals that we could have just made ourselves just for buying and doing our own things. So
And I know today, like as we're starting to get creative and look at other opportunities and getting a third vacation rental, of course, we haven't gotten to the point where we've also sold the other two because of the high markets. And, we could have gone a few different ways with that, but we decided to sell them and buy a lot and eventually build a bigger vacation rental that would produce newer. So we're not having, leaks and stuff like that spring, and
we can get the build equity.
and we can get the build equity from the development, and we can rent it out for way more money. So we're talking about an 8-bedroom house, and this is similar to what our mentor does.
And
but
normally, I mean, we're not like super forthcoming with a lot of the numbers, just because we kind of like to stay a little bit guarded, because some people may take it as, oh, they're not being humble, but like also there comes a point where we want to educate people and just let them know like what possibilities are out there. Because imagine if we never knew the possibility of short-term vacation rentals, how you can make $3,000 a week from per week
on a 3-bedroom house or a 4-bedroom house,
You know,
probably a
so
4-bedroom house.
on an
Yeah.
8-bedroom house. We're talking like life-changing money, like $15,000 a week. Like that is nothing short of
Something beyond our wildest
beyond
dreams.
what
like,
our wildest dreams would
talk
have ever
about
been.
talk about freedom, right? Like providing for your family and doing, eventually, hopefully scaling that and doing even more. There's so much opportunity with it. So to get back to your question about why we got our real estate license, that's why, because we wanted to have freedom. We can use it creatively in our deals now today. We always say when we're buying that house, like that will pay for our furniture, stuff like that. So it's an interesting, why not go ahead and get it right?
And plus we could help our friends and family out, because we're always educating our friends and family, like, and they'll probably laugh at this if they see this, like, get a vacation rental, like it'll change your life, like it'll change stars. And there's always those questions, and like, why not have that piece where we could help people, and that's always been our goal, is to help people.
Yeah, and also you guys didn't just get a lot; you got a lot just right down the street from 30A. So I don't know if people aren't familiar with 30A, but that's like the really nice area here in the Panhandle. There's Seaside right there. A ton of famous celebrities live down there, and it's just it's a beautiful area. So I'm super excited for you guys. I can't wait for it to be built.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you. And that's just another funny story. I'll make it quick. Justin, living in the apartment back in the day with Meg, met an older couple who built homes and stuff for a living for their entire lives, practically.
From South Carolina.
Very, very good at like designing things, and they always talked about this lot that they had right off of Dune Allen Beach. It's over here in Santa Rosa Beach is what it's called, and how it was going to be their dream lot that they were going to live in.
And how you could literally, it was on a road called Hillcrest, so you could literally build up high enough and see, it was adequately named because it's on the top of a hill.
on a dune, right?
On the top of what used to be an old sand dune, and you can see, look over the trees and see the ocean. It's kind of far back, but, there aren't many places you're going to get Gulf views, unless there's like a big hill or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's pretty built out now.
It's built out.
Also, we're
With
talking
big,
about,
giant 3-4 story homes.
and also we're talking about Florida. Like we're elevation 0. So like if anywhere you can get a hill, you're looking at high points, right? We're also in flood zone X, which is means you're not going to get flooded
You're
out.
high and dry.
Yeah.
And so lots of great things about this lot. It had already been cleared.
Pretty big.
Come to find out,
Already had the sewer taps and everything installed.
By the way, we're calling people, cold calling people with lot. We're getting on to the Walton County property appraiser website, clicking on the name,
Finding dirt.
typing in the name in Google, finding their number, calling them and saying, "Hey, Like I've seen you've owned this lot for however
25
long.
years.
Are y'all interested in selling?
We
So
got
like,
some flat nose.
oh, it was very like it was tough. It's a tough
A little
business to be
uncomfy
in that.
sometimes.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
like at this point, you have to realize the market had taken off.
Yeah.
And people are coming from California and New York, and they're playing with cash offers, and we're just these two guys who, we end up selling our other vacation rentals at this point, and we had some capital to work with. However, we were still going to need funding from a bank to purchase this land. And so
I'm sure these people are also getting calls like here and there from a few other people that were kind of just looking to do something like that. And or we would spring the thought in their mind, and they were like, oh yeah, I can list my lot. I want to put it on the market and ask for way higher than what we could afford, right?
Oh, crazy. Since the prices were rising so quickly, you couldn't get anything for, you get a small lot for a lot of money, and so when we found this one, it was like crazy. We were like, okay, so let's write. We immediately drove over to this lot. I saw on the coming soon of the MLS, and so we drove over to the lot. We were like,
Right away.
immediately we were like, wow, this is actually a really beautiful big lot. And all of a sudden this beautiful sunset came upon us, and we walked from there to the beach access, which goes across a lake called Oyster Lake.
And really quickly, these lakes this is one of the only areas in the world that even have these dune lakes, is what they call them, where it's a freshwater lake that usually runs into like an estuary right into the ocean.
Nice.
And creates this really cool effect of like this dark
Inflows
water,
and outflows.
inflowing, outflowing into a beautiful emerald colored ocean. So like kind of setting the stage a little bit. We're like,
It's
wow,
beautiful.
this moment is beautiful.
It was like the Lord smiled down upon us, and he was like, this
It's
is
the one.
your lot. Because we had already put offers in on at least 4 or 5 other lots and missed out on them, and we were bummed. But
Missed out on them. Great.
But the Lord
It'll
had
be
other better plans, because I go to write this offer on this lot, right? And I go to the property appraiser website to see who owns it, and I see these 2 names, and I'm like, man, these look very familiar. And so sure enough, I'm like, wait a second. I look at the address, because it shows you the address of where they live, and it said the apartments where I used to live. I said, hold up.
We know these people.
I had these people's numbers in my phone. So, sure enough, I go over. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is Steven and Tara Pora. These people are amazing. We've literally chatted about how
Every day
they were going to build on this lot. And I'm like, where are you guys going? I reach out to them as a friend, not telling them that I'm looking for lots or anything, but I'm like, where are you? You guys talked about love this lot. And they said, well, the Lord gave us other plans to move east of here. We want to go down to South Florida now. We feel more called to go there. And so they said, okay, all right, well, Lord, if it's your will, I'm going to put in this offer. And we wrote up a really good offer. It was over asking
We
price.
didn't hold back.
It was non-refundable, earnest money down.
Yeah.
We're showing we're serious.
We're serious.
We learned
believe
from
in ourselves.
We learned from our other deals that if you're not willing to put something on the line, you're probably not going to walk away with
Especially
it in
with
that
cash
market.
deals.
In that market, right.
And so it was like, we gave a lot of concessions and everything, and we applied for the loan, and
Praise God.
praise the Lord, we ended up getting a loan. Though they accepted our offer a couple days later, and we just knew that had to be the lot, right?
Well, that's a great story too, because it shows it's not just deals are just easy like that. It's not, I like this lot, I'm going to put in an offer, it's good to go. Like you had a ton of rejection, and you just guys stayed persistent, and then finally you got the perfect deal.
I think that
Congrats.
is the moral of our story, and thank you so much. I constantly remind myself of these victories, because more often than not, there's hardships, right? And like we're promised in this life that in the Bible that like there's going to be hardships in this life, and
good.
it's not always. It's about getting up after you fall down. Like,
Man.
we have, for every one victory, there's probably 10 failures that come. But it's the fact that we get back up. We're not smarter than anybody else. We're not better than anybody else. We're not the best, the most sharpest tools out there, but we will get back up, and we will be creative. And, it's that mindset that keeps us going.
Wow. And not only that, like to kind of go a different direction from what you're saying is that like there's also a lot of people out there that are doing better than you, like way better than us. And, they're younger than us. There's always going to be somebody that's been doing it longer, just better at the craft. And it's so easy to compare yourself to their story and say, man, like, why am I not in their shoes yet? Like, I've worked so hard. I feel like I've been plowing the ground a lot longer than these guys, but maybe
they're doing so much better.
You might say they've gotten lucky or something like that. People would probably even say that we've gotten lucky to have gotten in the market when we did. And sure, we were very blessed. But, I just want to encourage people to, of course,
anything that's worth it, it's going to take work.
It's going to take work, but also, like, don't compare your story to other people's stories. Like, you're forging your own path. And even though it might be harder now than some other people did, even though it might be a little bit harder now for you than it might have been when somebody else started. Or might have looked, exactly, because they're going to only show you the best things that have happened to them just to make, things look hunky-dory. But, you might have learned something that they didn't. Or, 10, 15 years down the road of you working and perfecting your craft, you're going to be doing something totally different, something that you love, and that is something to be cherished and valued.
And
so,
especially in this career field where, you're generally not working with a lot of younger people. The people that we see and look up to are the ones that have made it, that's air quotes as well for you guys. The ones who look like they've made it, the ones who they've been in it
they put in the work.
Man, they've put in the work and they've grinded and they're reaping their rewards. And we're super young and we think that we can do everything that they can do, but we're on our own path, right?
Oh yeah, I love that you guys are saying that. It's crazy. Do you guys listen to Jocko Willink, his podcast?
Never. No. I don't. Yeah.
So what you said is like exactly what his latest podcast was, and I loved it. It's called Life's a Game, but not in the sense of like winners and losers.
Yep.
But each person has like their own objective and their own values, and everyone's going to be different. And that's you should be measuring yourself on the stuff you care about and yourself rather than just comparing to others and like, oh, why am I not making as much money as this guy? Why is that guy getting to do this? Why I'm stuck here?
That is a trap,
especially in the age of social media. And you're so right, Mike. That's you hit the head on the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, every person has their own life and values. Like some people, want to go get a family and have a successful family life.
Yeah.
And then there's some people that don't even think about that. And it's not that one is necessarily better than the other.
Yeah.
But that's their own path that they want to go down.
Different
That's
values.
so good. We all have different goals and values, and like, we should be. We should be comparing ourselves to our own goals and values, right?
Man.
Yeah.
And not what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And it's great to reassess those and like make sure like, hey, is this really important to me?
Yes.
How important is it?
Yes.
Prioritize all that. And you guys are, because you guys have to prioritize a lot. Because now after this house, I want to go into your coffee business. So you aren't busy enough in your full-time jobs. You're renting out vacation homes, getting your own home, doing this to this place, and you decide Be Bold Coffee. We want to be bold and make our own coffee truck. How'd that come to be?
Wow, this was a passion project. From
It really was
from really like college. That's where it spurred. But
oh man, you're bringing me down memory lane, and I love it. Taking a trip down memory lane, back to college, man. We truly figured out our love for people in college. And that came from a love and a faith that was instilled in us. We ended up going to a church called Church of the Highlands over at Auburn, and it didn't. We would always say that we were believers until there was this big moment in our lives that we try to share it.
Everybody,
Jeremy, go ahead. Yeah, I can tell Jeremy's.
No, you're good. You're doing great. I mean, at the end of the day,
he's very well spoken.
Everybody, no, I appreciate that, but you are. This is what twin life is. Everybody in the South will say that they believe in the Lord, right? Like I feel like that's living in the Bible Belt, like.
Such a cliche thing.
It was easy, and especially growing up in that, of course we proclaim the same thing, right? And we went on Sundays, and we would kind of do it's not that we were bad people or did bad things or whatever. Like a lot of people will tie that to religion, that sort of thing. But we would do what we thought would make us good people, right?
But we didn't truly have a relationship, which is like, in the Word and like walking with the Holy Spirit and stuff. And so I think in college, like we were just steadily trying to, get out, get a good job. We were worried about studying for engineering. And so then on our co-ops, actually, and this is
big. This is
soon
big.
after we met, I think, it was March 5th of 2015, and Jeremy and I were working apart. I was in Texas, he was in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Mind you, this is probably one of the first times we've ever been apart from each other.
Roll Tide.
Oh, he cussed.
Oh gosh.
Hold on, can we put a bleep over that?
Yeah. We'll beep it out. I said War Eagle, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I said.
And so we end up getting a call, and I don't even know. Do you know about this story, Mike? We got a call from our buddies, or our little brother's buddy's sister, and who was friends with us, and she was crying, and she broke some news to us that our little brother had been shot, and he was 17 years old, and this is just a huge part of our testimony, because we were like, what? Like, it really truly just knocked us on our butts, really, to be quite candid. And
Jeez.
so
I mean,
we talked about, we were literally talking on the phone at the time, and we said, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay.
Right.
This is like it's like the movies, and
he, to be fair, our little brother had been in a lot of other instances where he's gotten hurt or other things where
he's a goofball.
we just had to go get him. Like, I know there was a point where he had a concussion and stuff. He always got better, right? But like in this case, he did end up passing away, and our family was obviously shaken to the core. It made us question what we were doing with our lives.
What we truly believed, our core beliefs of like who we are, like what we want to be.
For him to be 17, us freshmen in college, right? This is a time where we're trying to plant our own roots and try to figure out what our life is all about, and to see that a life can be taken so quickly, and that's what it was. It was just. It was a tragic incident that did happen.
And so the next semester, we go back to Auburn, and we are just really searching for life is so fragile, it's so short, and we end up going to the church we always go to, and our little brother's his name is John Brandon, and we're in the middle of a worship set, and this guy comes up to us, and he says, "Hey guys, I feel like y'all, I don't know what it is, y'all should come join my small group." And we're like,
small group. We're
engineers. We don't have time. And we were also people pleasers at the time, so we're like, okay, but all right,
maybe.
He said, come to me after this, and we'll get you signed up. And we, as soon as we got out of the service, we ran for the door. Brandon was his name, actually, just like our little brother. He was waiting at the door.
So, come on, can you? I mean, that has to be from the Lord, right? Because what are the odds? It's not, in our eyes, through our faith, we notice that's not a coincidence. That had to be a greater power, right?
And out of all the different small groups that we could have joined, they had all sorts of stuff: volleyball, basketball,
baking.
just community, getting in community, getting together with fellow believers. Well, this one was is called a freedom group, and it's a place where just men come together, a group of men come together, and we just hash out our we go through different topics such as fear and anxiety and what we may be holding in our lives. And the Bible describes us as a vessel, and we pull those things out and we fill ourselves back up with God's word of what he truly says about us,
right?
What we believe that.
Sorry. I was going to say, a lot of people have probably heard of garbage in, garbage out. I mean, that's true from any standpoint of where you walk in life, but continue.
And so that truly changed our lives. And it really gave us a love for people. We were able to forgive our brother's killers, and we were able to forgive ourselves the things we had done in the past. We were able to forgive our mom for alcoholism that she dealt with, growing up and going into high school. And it really just gave us a grace for everybody else, including ourselves, and
that's good.
Change our lives forever. And bringing it back around to coffee, the idea came up, and I didn't even like coffee, which is so funny. But the Lord placed on my life that, you guys are going to
we felt the urge to start a coffee shop one day because it's a common ground for believers, no pun intended,
Common
for
ground.
believers and non-believers alike. And we were going to call it Be Bold Coffee.
Come on,
And
there's a verse in the Bible. It's Proverbs 28:1. It's oh gosh,
The wicked flee when no one pursues, but
But
the
the
righteous are as bold as a lion. And
Right,
that's where
right.
we get our lion logo from.
Yeah, I don't know if. Oh, yeah, I'll show it in the show notes.
there you go.
And
It's
so
a really cool logo.
Thank
So
you,
that's
thank you.
kind of how the idea of the coffee shop came around. That was
It's
a
like,
long story.
but also like to add a little bit more emphasis on it. Like again, we didn't like coffee. We would show up to coffee shops, kind of do life in
Just to
coffee
get
shops.
caffeine.
You know, first dates, business, stuff, Bible study, you name it. Like you go to a coffee shop, you can guarantee that people are interacting together and just sharing life stories and sharing wins, sharing losses. Like wow, what a powerful space to be able to cultivate. In order for, I mean, for us, I know our thought was in college was that we could eventually put a coffee shop on a college campus, Auburn, one day, and so that was really the goal. It's funny how it even end up turning into a into a truck, but you know that's
Story for another day.
a fun story. But coffee is cool because you know it's an international love. It's a language in and of itself. You can talk with people around the world that love
And-
coffee.
Funny enough, we stole our motto from a podcast that came out of Austin, and it's called The Coffee Podcast. And
Really?
we say our focus is people and our,
Our
language
language
is
is
coffee. And that really resonated with us a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, it's just a terrible tragedy, John Brandon going way too soon. But then to see what you guys are doing, like if he could see that, I mean, what better way to
Oh, that's so
you know,
good.
Yeah.
commemorate him and just do the things that you guys are doing. I don't think he'd want you to do anything else. You know, just
Man.
live life and to the fullest. And you guys are definitely doing that. So
I'll definitely say, like, you know, he's definitely leaving a legacy at the end of the day. He's instilled in us a love for and a joy and a zest for life. If I could bring him back, I would, right? Like,
Yeah.
of course, I would much rather have a brother that I can share and
In a
do
lesson.
life with.
We could learn the lesson another way.
Yeah.
Right. But like, you know, of course, we won't forget him, and he really does stay in our hearts and in our minds as we go on and continue on the great work that the Lord has called us to do in this life. So coffee shops and in real estate, you know, that's all second. But like, if we can show up in life and show up for other people, I feel like it's been a little bit of a hard thing to do for with us right now, just as we're planting those seeds and working the fields, right? But like, I feel like we're at some point we'll be able to see those fruits grow and then be able to do our ultimate mission, which is to be there for other people and kind of share and do life with them,
well,
including our families.
I have no doubt you guys are going to just keep being successful because you're not mailing it in at all. Like, could you describe for the listeners like what your coffee truck looks like and how you guys built that? Like, built that yourself from scratch?
You know, I'll just say one thing and then I'll let Justin continue. I'll say that it's unique that we decided to do this all on our own. Like, you know, we've been working these government positions for the last 4 to 5 years
Which
at
are
this
amazing,
point,
yeah.
which it's been great, an awesome stepping stone, and it's continued to fuel our fire for what we're eventually going to do, right? And you know, we've also realized that you know, I don't know. We've also realized that, you know, Justin gave me the eye. He's like, "Bro, be careful. Don't tell the jobs." Cut that out. But you know, of course, everybody wants to move on to bigger and better things. So you know, we're keeping an eye on that. But so, anyways, it's an interesting thing how we decided to do this ourselves. I'm glad that we decided to utilize our engineering degrees in a sense and build something that we're very, very proud of.
of
So
hard
I'll
work,
let you to kind of decide to the viewer or decipher to the viewer is kind of like
What it looks
what it looks like and what the heck kind of truck this is.
Now, picture,
Awesome truck.
picture
Thank
this. You're on an auction website and that you found the day before. Your wife actually found it and she really wants to do a coffee truck. And you're like, okay, like and actually funny story of, you know, my wife and I, whenever we met, funny enough, I told Jeremy, and this is, I'm sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but like,
We can do
it
that.
has to
We
be
can do
said because I have to give my wife some credit here.
Yeah.
In the
Meg.
fact that I told Jeremy a couple weeks before I went out to California, and that's actually where I met my wife on a job trip, on a work trip.
Oh, no
to
way.
California, out in San Diego.
Because Justin works for the Navy, so he was out there.
I do. I work for the Navy, and they sent me out there. And
Nice.
so I told Jeremy randomly, I said, hey, yo, you know how our dream is to start the coffee shop one day, right?
I'm like, yeah.
I'm like,
This is kind of random. I don't know where you're going with this, but yeah.
well, it'd be really cool if our wives one day had a flower shop in the coffee truck. Or, I mean, in the coffee shop. And he was like,
I was like, very odd that you said that, but yeah, like, okay. Like, noted. That would be sick.
Flowers cool, yeah.
yeah, flowers
Alright.
are cool. Like,
Super random.
Coffee's good.
Absolutely.
Good combo.
Yeah. And so there was this a girl I was going to meet out in San Diego, not for anything romantic, just
By
like
the
it
name
was
of
supposed to
Meg.
be- her name is Meg. And we had talked a little bit on social media. We had some mutual friends and everything. And, I was just, I've met some of my best friends like through social media, Sonny and Jesse. My best friend Christoph from South Africa. Shout out to him.
Let's go.
South Africa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big road trip with us.
That's cool.
A cross country American road trip. And so I was like, I'm going to go meet another friend. And like, I like to meet people while I'm out of town. So we're going to go get some coffee and hang out. And so, sure enough, it came around and I was like, hey, I'm coming to San Diego. You want to meet up? And being the gentleman that I am, I made her come pick me up because I didn't have a car. It was a great first impression. She
loved you for it.
So we end up going and getting some dinner over in Pacific Beach. And like, let me tell you, the ambiance was there. She was looking cute. I didn't tell her that to her face, but I was thinking it in my head. And
You weren't bold like the coffee?
man, I was still looking kind of skimpy coming out of college. And so we
Eat
had
ramen.
the best conversation over this meal, overlooking the beach with fire, flames that are behind us, like beautiful. And after that, she's like, hey, you want to go get coffee? I was like, yeah, I would love to. And she even paid for the coffee. I was like, wow.
Drove you there, paying for your coffee.
I mean, I paid for the dinner. I'll give it that. Don't take that away from me. And so and after that, we went and we birded around in the city. And
Which are scooters, by the way.
the scooters, yeah, bird. And
yeah.
it was really Lime to be TBH.
Yeah.
I feel like people know bird. I don't know. Maybe people know Lime or whatever. So we end up getting lost in the city because, well, she's new to the city because she had just moved there from Florida, actually, from Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
Lakewood Ranch. And I had just, sprung in there for the first time. And so we end up getting lost because I don't know that it doesn't show you your map, the location, until you end the ride. And she didn't know that either. So we didn't know where we parked
They're
the
looking.
car.
They're looking for the cars.
It's
trying to figure out-
11:30. She probably thinks I'm kidnapping her at this point. And, that was fun. Fun first date. The second date, I call it a date now. But the second time, I didn't think we were going to be able to meet up, but we ended up getting to meet up at another coffee shop. And I tell her, yo, I get up the courage. I say, my twin brother and I's dream is to start a coffee shop one day. And she said, no way. My dream is to start a coffee shop one day, and it's going to have flowers in it. And I said, will you marry me? And so,
the rest
is history. No, we did long distance for a little while, and so her dream was always to start a coffee shop too for similar reasons. And so going back, like my wife wanted to start this coffee truck as well, and she really spurred the idea. There you go. And
that's
kind of
good.
what it looks like.
That's good.
It's a 1985 Doka T2 transporter.
I think it's 1985.
Yeah, kind of weird. From Brazil. It might not be that year. I don't know how the paperwork got worked out. It worked out for us.
So, all right. The idea was that we would take this truck. I don't know. We were kind of looking for something unique. But we were also shooting for the stars here. We said
We wanted it to be in the back.
more than likely we could build out something like just something in the back. It started out as a tarp, and it ended up working its way up to a covered
Metal.
Coffee is very, it has to be in the right environment, and humidity has to be controlled, and that sort of thing. Although our truck does open up, we do have an AC in there, so hopefully that helps a little bit. We'll
Yeah,
find out.
I mean, once you dial it in according to the conditions of, we're nerds, like I said. So, like, we get down into the deep nitty-gritty of coffee. We learned so much since college, and now we are actually, like, coffee
snobs.
Connoisseurs.
snobs. And I wouldn't go as far. I wouldn't
proclaim myself to be coffee connoisseur, but I appreciate that comment.
Compliment.
And the compliment. And so Jeremy, being the mechanical engineer that he is, designed the exterior shell of what would be a pod, basically, that goes into the back of this pickup bed truck of the Volkswagen. So really unique. I don't know if you'll find another one out there, except for there's one that kind of looks similar in Europe.
Kind of. It's unique, but like, yeah, the idea was that like I just hit the ground running on designing something that would hopefully be robust and durable, and I'll eventually make some YouTube videos on how we did it. So if you guys are interested, that'll eventually come. But it really taught us a lot. Like that, more than likely, it's not going to take 2 to 3 weeks. It's actually going to take an entire year. And with other life events like working a 40-hour work week job. 2 jobs and having babies. We always laugh. We always say that Meg was building a baby while we were building our baby. But like
literally the day that and it's just life, right? Life throws unexpected things at you, but or expected kind of. But the day that we took the truck to Alabama to our dad's house to start the construction of it, my wife found out that we were pregnant, and she was supposed to stay down, and she came up and she was really just saying that she missed me already and everything.
She's bored.
She's bored, that she wants to be up there with us. And then
broke the news.
That night she broke the news to me, and I couldn't be more excited. But that's literally the whole 9 months of building the coffee truck. She was building a baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I see
Baby
right above Jeremy there, you have all these sketches. Did you hand sketch that first?
Dude,
That was your
I'm
initial.
such a visual guy. Being the mechanical engineer that I am,
I'm glad he is.
I'm glad that you pointed these things out. It's in our little creative room board thing here that now, along with some of the plans for our vacation rental that you guys might not be able to see. But I started out with the looking down on the floor of what would be the truck bed, and started drawing out where those attachment points would be, and eventually moved over to the walls, right, and the doors and how they
Every
would
angle.
interface, and
Every angle. It's very nerdy.
You really start to think about like how the doors are going to open. Like, are we going to want to open it when we have power that we could plug into, or are we going to want solar? So
He
we
drew
decided
it.
to go solar power up on, just for the doors, and everything else would run off of a 50 amp electrical piece, which my boy Justin.
Jeremy drew it, and I still didn't even understand. I was like, what are these? Like, how do you say we're going to get this thing in the back? Oh, that probably cracked a little bit, but I was very confused. But Jeremy had a plan, and he found all the sources, for the metals, onlinemetals.com, all that.
Watched a lot of YouTube
Watched a lot of
Academy.
YouTube,
Thank you, YouTube.
We consulted with an electrician who has done build outs of coffee trucks to help us build a schematic, because why start over from scratch when somebody's already done it, right? So
Nice.
he designed our electrical panel.
And not only that, but just gave us an entire consulting session: how to waterproof the doors, how to, take into account this
Right.
and that. And so that
We
was
paid him for it, but
Yeah.
How'd you
it
find
was
him?
very useful.
YouTube.
Oh wow.
Was it YouTube or was it Instagram?
I think it was YouTube from Meg, and then we, of course, meandered
to
over
Instagram.
to his Instagram, and we were like,
That's right.
"Wow, this guy's done a few different builds, like an old Citron,
Shout out to Russ.
coffee trucks, and shout out to Russ.
He does really good job up in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know if he's truly building coffee trucks anymore. He's moved on to some other stuff, and he actually just had his first kid too. But does great electrician work in that area. And
very knowledgeable.
if you really want a coffee truck, you could pay him enough. He'll do it, I'm sure.
And so I was on your guys' YouTube page. It's the handle at Twinvestors. You have a playlist with all the videos you use for inspiration and learning. Is he on there as well? Or?
He is on there, yeah.
Okay.
So
if
I
anyone wants to check him out,
go check him out. Again, type in the Twinvestors into YouTube and go to that playlist. Of course, that'll be shouted out at some point, but it goes into all those details. And check out Russ. Again, I'm trying to remember his YouTube handle, but he's in there.
it's hard to describe how big of a transformation. It's good you guys documented on your Instagram. I think was it
It's Be Bold Coffee.
Be Bold Coffee? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it went from bare bones truck to you guys putting in the water tank, putting in the lines, you're putting in the electrical. Like you said, the
Man.
doors open on a little clicker. You got the clicker going.
It doesn't matter how much you design this thing on paper.
there's always going to be an unexpected thing. So like
a modification.
you know,
here.
we were making real time decisions a lot of times to decide. You know, you finally build out and you're like, there's not enough room for a
tank.
where we
funny.
originally thought,
Yeah.
including all the plumbing.
So, you know, quick time change. We're like, hey, let's throw, you know, this is a double cab, you know, Volkswagen old
Let's take the back seat
truck.
out.
Let's take the back seat out of it. It's an old worker's truck from what they were describing on some old marketing stuff. But let's take that back seat out and let's throw in the tanks back there.
We have a
and just-
55-gallon freshwater tank and a 65-gallon, you know, gray water
Dark
tank.
water,
And originally we were only going to have like 25-gallon like tank or maybe even less. Nothing
It's wild.
And that wouldn't even fit at all either. So I'm so glad that we were able to upgrade not to bigger tanks.
Yeah.
And just have a bigger capacity that just helped us out so much.
I say this is like a definitely a project in college, like on steroids, but
Yeah.
even more than that.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like this was like 4 years of college, like all just crammed into 1 year. It's basically what it feels like. You know, it's been thousands of hours. You know,
Were you guys
Labor
doing
only.
weekends only, or and you built it in Alabama, right?
we built
We
it
did.
in Alabama during the time where we were teleworking with
Teleworking.
our
We were
jobs.
teleworking, so that helped out a lot. We didn't have the commutes and everything. We were able to hop straight from work after we were done, straight back onto the coffee truck. We were able to work the lunch, you know, things like that, and then work on the weekends. Bless our dad. Bless him.
Bless our dad. So again, we ended up in Alabama because my dad is up there and he has all the tools and a lot of knowledge. He'll kind of guide
He's a
us,
guru.
right? And so
He can do anything, and that's where we get our
Zest.
life. We always used to ask our dad. Here's a main
Funny
thing
tip,
for
yeah.
us. A funny thing for us. We always said, "Hey, Dad, how do you know how to do everything?"
I think we've talked about this before because I
Yeah.
think your dad has done the same for you. But
And what you remember what he said? He said, "I don't know how to do everything. I'm just not afraid to try." And so, a big thing for us, a motto that we always laugh about today is, we can do hard things. You can do hard things. Like whatever you put your mind to, you know, just break it up into steps. And you know, if you look at this coffee truck overall, it looks really daunting. And hopefully, we design it in a way that makes it look simple on the outside. But if you knew the intricacies and the complexities of putting that thing together, you know, it really was a big daunting task.
and just and a labor of love and
Labor of love.
And my dad did laugh at me when I said it was going to take, you know, maybe
3
like
months.
a couple months, right? But like, it was cool. It was, you know, big life experience. And, you know, if somebody wants to get their feet wet and, you know, have a fun project, this was a fun one. You know, maybe you might want to, if you don't know how to weld and all like the in-depth knowledge and the technical knowledge I mean, we'll show you guys how, but
YouTube.
like, if you don't necessarily know how to do it, you can either YouTube it or buy something that already has a back on it. You know, there are other ways around.
That's
just
so true. We
starting
did it the
from
hard
scratch.
way.
So yeah,
Yeah.
We truly did the hard way.
But just the patience that you guys showed, like thinking it was going to be 2 months,
Yeah.
and then you know being way more. Like
Yeah.
I'm really, and another thing, I'm just glad you brought that up too, because like there were points where we could have quit, you know,
There's
all of
points
the-
where the excitement wore off.
the excitement goes away and you're kind of sitting in your room and you're like, man, I got to go back out there and work on things that are kind of like the next hard thing. You're like, man, that hard thing, that's going to be hard.
There's like a list of really hard things to do.
and you probably don't even know what you're doing. Like you're probably like, that's a hard thing, but I haven't designed it yet, or I haven't like figured out how I'm going to do it yet. But I really need to just carve out some time to sit down and like go through it. And yeah, so to bring it back, like we could have easily just kind of like let it go, but on
There
the
were points
inside,
where we were like, there's maybe like a point or two for like a split second. We're like, all right, like,
we could sell this thing. And
we could sell this thing. No, but like moving on from that, like there's just a life lesson in that. Like when things get hard, you know, we are remembered by what if we say we're going to do something, like we are going to follow through. And we're very careful about what we say we're going to do to our friends and stuff. Like a lot of stuff brews in secret.
We ain't
that
perfect.
We don't even tell anybody because, you know, it's really easy to start something and it's really hard to finish, especially the last 15%, right? And so, you know,
That was just
this
something
was
we figured
one
out.
of those things that was just, yeah, you're right. It was hard, but
that's the thing. Motivation isn't going to be there forever. It's going to wane. But you're like you said, you have the objective. You guys have that big purpose
That's
behind
good.
it.
That's good.
And then you're
Yeah.
seem you're super disciplined. So I don't know where you guys got that, but you just kept after it, even though, like you said, every day is not, sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
You know, and-
sometimes to a fault, man. You gotta
that's good.
balancing work and life is something that as people who love people, it's been a very difficult year of just learning. We kind of had to step aside for this season. There are different seasons all throughout life, and sometimes we feel bad. We really stepped away from some of our closest friends, not like for good. We're still like really good friends. We still talk and everything. We didn't just like leave, but and they truly understand with the big purpose and the vision behind it. Hopefully they can understand.
And most of them have their own businesses too. Like they're over
We
here
surround
grinding,
ourselves with people.
trying to grow their businesses, so they understand as well, because we try to hang out with those types of people. But it was kind of tough from that life standpoint of, all right, well, I guess I got to go work on the truck again tonight, and you turn into that person. Hey, do you guys want to do this? Or we do show up to a gathering like once a month and but never end up showing back up with
it's
a
hard to be
return
consistent,
invite,
right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting year, but we have learned a lot.
So
Yeah.
So how's the truck doing? Is it ready to go? Full force?
So yeah, we bought the truck December 2022. I'm sorry, 2021. It is now past December 2022. We're in January, and the truck
No,
is.
you were right. You said it right the first time.
Go ahead.
We bought the truck in December 2022. It's now December. No, wait, you were right.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, bud.
All right, so we bought the truck in December 2021. Ended up getting past December 2022, and then it's now January 2023, and we are literally on the very edge of getting this thing up and running. We have a spot to park it in. We've kind of managed to talk with, or at least we're still working on that with the county on that one. But we've at least identified somebody that is willing to let us park it in the front of their business. It's a local brokerage who we've ended up transitioning over to, and just super excited for the opportunity. And the goal with this is to, of course, eventually just sit down, have good conversations with people, get out there in the community, and be able to tell our story, hopefully through this, awesome truck that we put our heart in. And, I think the details, will show hopefully to the customer. Like they're going to come up and they're going to be like, wow, this is something that I haven't experienced before. So
we really truly wanted to bring an experience to people, not just we believe excellent coffee is great, but pair that with an excellent experience with something that people have never seen before, and people are going to be wowed, and they're you can't fail when you start with those two things, right?
Oh yeah, and I love the style you guys are doing with it too. Like this place, this is kind of what your coffee truck kind of has the same vibe. And then if you guys got to check out their Instagram, because you guys got like a drone footage of like a video, like a music video going. It's like Be Bold Coffee coming soon.
Dude,
over the beach.
Just the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We definitely like once you guys get going, I'd love to hear about how it's going, and if you want to come back on the pod.
Absolutely, Mike,
man.
Great. Super blessed to be here, for real.
Yeah, definitely blessed, and would love to have you be one of the folks to come check it out and kind of see the finished product. It's kind of dark outside right now, but we'll open it up for you.
I'm bringing my whole family, and not my family, like the actual. My parents live out here. My sister's not too. My sister just moved, so I don't know. I'll have to fly her out.
North Carolina.
Okay.
She moved to Seattle. Yeah.
Wow.
Seattle.
She was trying to stay in Jacksonville, but
how
I'll get her
cool.
down here. She's got to try Be Bold Coffee as well.
Let's go.
So we'll
Dude,
get everyone.
come on. We would love that. And you're welcome here anytime to
Thanks,
drink our
guys.
coffee.
It's good. I chugged that. So I think did I get everything in your story? Is there anything else you guys want to touch on?
Wow.
Man.
We touched on so much. So if you
Wow.
are still here, we appreciate that. What's going on?
One last thing.
Yeah.
We skipped over. This guy's a dad now. Well, how's being a
Go ahead. Show them the mug.
how's
We
being
found
a
this
dad?
at a thrift store. Number one dad. Everybody's number one dad
Give
to
that
their
back to me.
kids, right? And more like, I'm a dad to number one, Blakely Sayla Euler. She's precious. I love being a dad. It's taught me a lot already, and I think I have a lot more to learn on that as well. So
Has it changed like your outlook on things at all, or?
Oh my goodness, so many outlook changes, and wow.
like where to even begin.
Yeah.
Caring for another, being a dog dad is one thing, but like having a child, something that like depends on you, that you get to like form and just teach and like just see all. I'll add like being here and being an uncle, just seeing all of the little things of her just progressing as a human, right? And like, you know, from the point of, you know, opening the eyes to you know, kind of smiling and snickering. It's just the little things in life that a lot of people might overlook, but just precious moments. And I know Justin's been living it up with Meg, and they're really enjoying it. I know Meg does a great job too. Oh, my wife is an amazing mom. Like, she takes such good care of Blakely, and like, you know, I don't know how men do it if their wives aren't prepared. No shame if they're not. But like, my wife was a planner, and she had everything taken care of. She taught me so much, you know, and she still does such a good job taking care of Blakely. I couldn't be more blessed. And me too. I'm basically her first kid. So she got to keep me in line and teaches me work-life balance. She's a good compliment to me, and so. You know, thank you, Meg, for putting up with me. Well, and all of our shenanigans, having another, basically, you know, sister wives and brother husbands. No, I'm just kidding. It's not like that. But like having another twin or having another brother, you know, so close is like, it's an interesting dynamic, right? Right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's great seeing all you guys got going on, and I just know you're continuing to do great things. Thanks for coming on the pod, making me coffee. You know, let me in your home. So,
dude,
I just appreciate it.
Again, man, thank you so much. I know you have a lot of great things coming your way as well, and really excited to continue to just keep up with each other, and hopefully one day live in the same on the same street or something like that.
Like, I'd love to be out here. This is a great place to be.
Yeah, and I can't wait to come visit you in Austin, Texas. You're gonna crush it out there.
Yeah,
and you asked great questions. Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, guys. Well, plug them. So go follow them on Instagram, Be Bold Coffee, and at Jeremy Euler. Justin's got a little snafu with his Instagram, but
it's coming back.
Yeah,
we're gonna get it back.
Maybe next time he's on, we'll be able to plug it. And YouTube at Twinvestors. So thank you guys for being on the pod, and that's all. See ya.
Cheers, you guys. Cheers.